Hi, I'm so sorry. Um, Hopefully everyone can hear me, see me. Hello. Let's see. John, thanks for the check-in. Barks, good to see you. Hey. Yeah, we are off to a great start for 2026. Speaking of off to a great start, I did reset the counters. I forgot the scuff counter. Oh, but the Scrimblow and Tangent counters are both at 17. Pre-show music is still playing. That's fine. There's no music otherwise. We can let it keep playing for now. It's a nice song. Hello, English dude. Thank you for the follow. Why didn't the alert show up? Why didn't that show up? I've never heard of them. Yeah, we need to get that added. So, hi. I'm so sorry to everyone on YouTube. I didn't realize that the stream had the wrong start time on it. So that's been awkward. And then OBS crashed. And then the original stream room ended. So I had to remake a new one. And I have to remake the room for Friday's stream as well. I'm very sorry about that. Also, exciting news. Exciting news, by the way. We got monetization on YouTube. Yay! So, memberships are now open. So there's 2 tiers. One is meant to be a more budget-friendly tier that will still get you badges and emotes and, you know, basic support. And the other is at the same price as a default Twitch subscription, and that the main extra perk there is the same as like subs only stuff. The main perk at the moment being access to the sneak peek channel on Discord. And then I'm trying to figure out some extra perks for that. So, yeah. And then, let's see. And then I saw some watch streak stuff, and I think there was someone got some proof of life, yeah. Yeah, the watch streaks for John and S, and then there was another thing. John resubbed, yes, thank you for that. Yeah, so those are... Wait, can you guys not hear me? Am I not being heard? Oh no. What? Not again. Oh no. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Hi. Hello. Okay, good. You guys do hear me. Okay. Excellent. Good to know. So yeah, so before we kicked off, we are not in just catting this time. We are in just chatting. For those wondering about the thumbnail on YouTube and why it says Bear Who Now Knows About Ian Watson, it's because I am now aware of what Ian Watson has contributed to Warhammer. Debating on whether or not I actually read the novels for myself. Apparently, I have not had a normal entry point into Warhammer based on what I have talked about with people. My bad on that one. Yeah, apparently most people will see some piece of like Warhammer media and then be like, oh, I want to know more about this. Mine was one of my friends was like, I really want to see you react to the Bricky Explains Warhammer Factions video. And I was like, what? And then I did. And then I got handed Horus Rising. And then there was some interesting writing in there. And then Ian Watson was mentioned and I was like, I'm gonna need some context on this, my guy. So just, by the way, one thing I'm considering adding to member subscription perks is basically adding a thing where I share my wacky annotations on various things I'm reading. I don't know if I want to do that because I'm trying to be more consistent about reading, but here's some excerpts of notes I have taken while reading Horus Rising so far. I'm about a third of the way through the book. So, let me go through my annotations and find some choice ones for you. Let's see. Breasting boobily. That was one. Bobbly breasting. One is a comment simply of the fuck. That one I will provide context because apparently the phrase was generously upholstered in flesh. A phrase I do not wish. Buttressed, I commented, I hope they are flying. Bro out here catching strays. And my personal favorite of all the annotations I've done so far is simply Yowie hands, parentheses, I am going to hell. So those are some of my annotations after getting through a third of Horus Rising. Will I be providing context for Yowie hands, parentheses, I am going to hell at this moment? Not really. I don't know if I ever will, quite frankly. But yes, that's where we are. Yowie hands, parentheses, I am going to hell. Sounds very 3rd or 8th Legion with that interior decorating comment. Yeah, it will be interesting. 16th surprise. Well, so actually, the thing, okay, I will say the generously upholstered in flesh comment wasn't even about interior decorating. It was about a person. I don't think that's a great way to describe a person by describing them as generously upholstered in flesh. Like, it's a very thanks, I hate it. Why did you write it like that comment? That said, give me 1 second. I'm going to switch scenes. All right. Hello. We're here. This is what we're here for. There should no longer be... Hello, Cheese God. There should no longer be music playing. That said, I just wanted to go over my notes from what I retained last time. Yes, I took notes. I don't know if you can hear my notebook in my hands right now. So let's see. We had the Catan, soul-snorting space frog old gods, Necrons, Robo-Egyptian Organization 13 with wealth separation shenanigans, Khorne, Gryffindor, seems probably the most insufferable actuallys ever, Nurgle, has a goddess in a jar, Muppet-ass name, Slaanesh, if you have a Gunpla backlog, you are feeding them. My question for everyone, though, is which of the old gods holds dominion over not old gods, chaos gods, would thrive on toe socks? Show feet would be Slaanesh, but would Slaanesh be into toe socks? Which of the chaos gods would revel in that? This is a question I have. Let's see. Eldar, I wrote, not Tolkien related TM, accidentally fucked a new chaos god into existence. Craft world, aesthetics, temper minds and bodies, colony ship type crafts, Sokushin Butsu, sleet seats. Depends on how often said toes and socks are washed. I'm glad you guys are taking this query seriously. That makes me happy. I am wondering if Craft World Eldar have anything similar to the practice of Sokushin Butsu, which was a practice of self-mummification done by some Japanese monks. Jukari, I wrote Cenobites. Harlequins, they just kind of do whatever, I guess, is the note there. Where are my other notes? They do. Oh, they do Sokushin Butsu. Crystals. Huh. So wait, is it the same where they're basically embalming themselves? Hellos, Superlog. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. That's right. I tried to set up YouTube alerts, so it looks like they're working. Yay. Anyways, let's keep going. So let's see. Because Sokushin Butsu, part of it is that essentially they stop eating and then they start eating specific things, and the process results in them essentially embalming themselves. So interesting. Imperium of Man, Emperor of Mankind, please do not worship as a god. Apparently he's very bad at explaining things. 20 crossed out 18 kids. I am actually just reading my notes word for word to you guys. Adeptus Mechanicus, I have, let's see. In all caps, I wrote, "You will snap fit your Glumpla according to the instructions and you will like it. Kit bashing equals heresy." This is what I wrote for the Adeptus Mechanicus. Because Senior Dev did not teach us COBOL. Fleet ships, I wrote gang violence, West Side Story, but in space and grimdark. And then the rest is just, what else? Ryla, thank you for the follow. Oh, I wrote down all the names of all the space marines. I have a random note that says orcs throw moons. And then Voton, I have hypercapitalist space dwarves, contracts are life. I did see your note on that, which is why I ended up thinking about Romeo and Juliet and then consequently West Side Story. Because the idea of yeah, sorry about that, right? The stream room on YouTube got corked up. Hello, Sangha, Happy New Year. Yeah, so your comment directly led to me thinking about Romeo and Juliet and then West Side Story. And then the idea of like generational fleet ship labor gang wars in a Romeo and Juliet type situation, but as a musical was just like, it was so absurd. And I was just like, yeah, I need Warhammer West Side Story. Also, real quick, I did one again, very appreciative of thank you for the follow. Very appreciative of everyone's very kind comments on the first video. There were a lot of great comments, a lot of great feedback. And another ship's having their own version of the Godfather, pretty much. I mean, let's be real. With the way these ships are set up to go through space, there's no way. It's like the infinite monkey theorem, but it's like instead it's the infinite imperium of man theorem, where if you have a fleet ship in space for long enough, eventually you end up recreating the plot of famous movies and stories. I do. So again, real quick, thank you again, everyone, and for all the kind comments on the video and the explanations. This time I will be pausing to talk instead of just talking over the video. And I did get a lot of comments that seemed confused as to why I was thinking of the American military so much versus British imperialism. So one, yes, I am American. Yeah, see you later, box. Good luck in M9S. So one, if that wasn't a giveaway, yes, I am American. Unfortunate, very unfortunate. I know if I could apologize more, I would. Two, I have grown up adjacent to American military culture. Yeah. Because so one, the big thing is I'm definitely coming into this with modern perspective compared to when the material was initially written. And then two, I have basically been adjacent to the military my entire life. Like the military will always be there as like part of my life, whether I want it to or not, because my dad's retired military. I have family who are active duty. I've spent part of my career basically working with the military. So I have been very adjacent to military culture. I have seen like how Marines can get. I've seen how it gets in various branches. I see how, you know, so basically like a lot of that military culture, that military almost worship and reverence. I've seen a lot of that. I'm used to a lot of that. That's what I expect. So thinking about like, as an example, when they were talking about people getting selected and joining, and it reminded me of how sometimes after like high school graduations, people will decide to sign up for the military. It's because I remember in post 9/11 and doing that and going to Afghanistan was seen as extremely honorable to do. Like, I was like, oh my God, I respect them so much for choosing to sign up and enlist. And yeah, and that's enough. they're super generational. Oh, then that makes it even more like a lot of American military culture then, because you do get some families that are military families where it's just generation after generation has gone into the military. And then the other thing is, and I'm going to upfront say this, I'm going to speak about this as objectively as possible because it can be a sensitive subject. And I'm going to try not to inject my personal opinions into this, but I think almost as if I needed a more recent example, the US's actions in Venezuela and their justifications for it, very much strike a chord with that whole theme of imperialism that the Imperium has going on. So that's all I'm going to say on like recent events, but I'm just pointing it out here as an example of how like, that kind of thing and that kind of attitude, hi, Untitled, is, part of why I thought about that. And I did actually see people posting images of like US themed Space Marines in the aftermath. And I was like, huh, alrighty then. So yeah, there's definitely other themes and references with the Space Marines and the Imperium, but basically for me in my frame of reference, it was like taking candy from a baby. For me in my frame of reference though, I very much see like American imperialism in it, especially with regards to current events going on. So that was the only point that I kind of want to address because a lot of people were just like, oh, Americans, military, where are you getting that? And it's like, well, that's just my background, baby. My background and what I'm used to. So, and I think that's everything I wanted to touch on before we got started. Do you feel free? Let me check the volume on this. I'm going to tweak that up a bit. Do you feel free to let me know if you guys are having trouble hearing the video? It should be turned up a bit so that you can hear it without issue already. But if not, let me know. So I think, let's see, we've gone over my notes. Yes, a couple more things. With the influx of a lot of Warhammer fans in here, I do want to keep reacting to Warhammer content and learning more about it. However, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into it. Oh, thank you for the follow. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into it, basically. When it's something I'm still very new at and exploring. So I do plan, because I am a Gunpla builder first, I do plan to have another stream hopefully this month of trying out some miniatures. So hello, Terror Beast. I do have a stream planned for hopefully later this month to try out, building and painting some Warhammer miniatures. Apart from, they sort of have, I think they've shifted focus to the card game right now, which also has tabletop miniatures. I'm not too familiar with the card game though, because I've been having trouble finding. I can't afford to get into another card game right now. I actually got into the HoloLive card game and I can't afford another one. So there will be a stream of me trying out Warhammer miniatures. I think that would be really fun. Warhammer miniatures, I've always seen it as like an adjacent brother cousin hobby to like Gunpla building. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. And so that's becoming, and then there may not be some Warhammer content for a bit. If I do end up doing the book reaction stuff on Discord, some of it will be there, but that will be behind memberships and subscriptions, to be clear. Will I end up reading Ian Watson? Only time will tell. I'm still making my way through Horus Rising. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. Like, again, the support really means a lot. I've been enjoying it a lot. It's just, I do want to be careful not to pigeonhole myself accidentally while getting into this, because the last thing I want is to accidentally pigeonhole myself. And then it turns out I'm like, ooh, ooh. And then everyone's sad. Have I seen the book chart? Oh no. Something tells me it's going to look like a conspiracy board. I have not seen the book chart, but do feel free to send me the book chart because, yeah, I do like reading. I'm trying to read more consistently this year. And that for real should be everything. Wait, no, sorry. There's one more thing. I'm so sorry. There is one more thing. Going full horse rising is wild. Yeah, I'll have to look up the book chart later. Oh yeah, you guys don't know about the conspiracy. Wait, not everyone here knows about the conspiracy. Okay, for first time viewers. So for first time viewers, I played Metal Gear Solid last year, and basically I had the idea to make a conspiracy board as I was playing. So where is my MGS2 board? Because that was a good one. That was the good one. I have to scale it. Hang on. Oh, you guys are in for a treat then. You haven't seen my conspiracy boards. So, oh, nope. Still not small enough. So this is the final form of my conspiracy board for Metal Gear Solid 1. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can see some of the things I wrote. So first we have thank you, David Hayter, because rookie eyes, plot critical apparently. I have played up through 3. So this is the first conspiracy board I made. Yeah. Are you shitting me, Kojima? I stand by my decision to fight the lasers behind a Denny's. Let's see. Whomst for Deep Throat. I still maintain that Liquid Snake is a theater kid. Oh no, I have to set. Well, I am so sorry. I'm trying to give context for a conspiracy board comment. And all you guys need to know, I played Rising 1, 2, and 3. And all you guys need to know about the Sniper Wolf scene is like I was so baffled I had to go stand in the shower afterwards. Like I just stood in an empty, not on shower in the middle of stream. So that happened. Anyways, we're here for Warhammer. It's been 30 minutes. I have been yapping. I am so sorry. Let me get to Warhammer. Kojima, that is great. It's so true though. All right. For real though, now it's time to Bricky. All right. Again, let me know if you guys are having issues with the audio. Okay.
This video is part 2 in a 2-part series on every faction re-explained. If you've not seen part 1, you were either snatched by the YouTube algorithm, or you don't let anything, not even common sense, hold you back. And for that, well, I wish I could be that strong. The quest to find the Primarchs was expansive and treacherous, to the point where they really—
Audio is a bit low. Okay, let me bump it up a smidge then. Okay.
They should write a book about it. Despite never seeing the Emperor before in their lives, the Primarchs all instinctively knew who the Emperor was. Whether it's his psychic connection to him or just plain old intuition,
but he's not their dad.
Giant golden god is a bit of a giveaway. The Primarchs all lived their own lives, and some lived substantially better lives than others.
Hang on. Hey gamers, editor here. Somehow Richard managed to record Discord notifications into his voiceover. There are only a few, don't worry, just didn't want you all to be confused. Okay. Thank you, Shammy. Okay, good to know.
Rabute Gilliman of the Ultramarines rose through the ranks of his worlds and ended up turning an entire sector into a high-functioning society, where others, like Mortarion, lived on the poisonous hellscape of Barbarous under the boot heel of his own adopted father.
Wait,
when
what?
the Emperor arrived, some wanted to play a little bit of catch with their dad at first, and some didn't trust the baseball bat he was carrying, and some didn't want to play at all. Eventually, one by one, the Emperor returned his sons to his side to bring them back together as one happy family. A family who needed a good cleaning. Are you tired
What? Cleaning.
of boring old soap? Is your son the foulest being ever? Do your eyes sting when he comes near? Well, clean that man right back up with the power of Cheeky. That's right,
Cheeky?
the brand new moisturizing bar soap brought to you by Moist Critical and Bricky approved. Nurgle hates it, but you'll love it. Bar soap is always so sticky.
Wait, Moist
and has a
Critical,
ton of
like
fuss,
Charlie
but
Woo?
now
Yeah,
you'll be
that's what I'm
blown to the
talking about.
surprise of Lehman Russ. Cheeky soap is so good, we didn't even take a down payment for the sponsor. That's right, we love this soap so much, we are operating on 100% commission. We are supported purely and only by those of you who buy Cheeky. It is the best bar soap we have ever used. That is not a hyperbole. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Take it from the man himself.
Bricky's right. This is very good.
Enjoy a multitude of flavors, including lo-fi lavender, Pope Francis,
What?
just soap, touch grass, and absolute cinnamon. Cheeky alone has made me swap back to bar soap as my primary choice. No more liquid soap for this brick. Cheeky is the play. Go ahead and go to useshiggy.com/Bricky or code Bricky for 10% off your purchase and domestically support these videos. That's code Bricky at useshiggy.com/Bricky or click the link in the description to learn more. Get clean now.
You know what? I actually made a version of this meme for my friend's backlog. This is just a Gunpla Builder's backlog. Damn, bitch, we live like this.
Oh, yeah, so half his sons turned on him. After the Emperor was able to bring all of his sons back into the fold again, he sent them on their way with his end goal in mind, reclaiming the lost worlds of humanity. Each of his Primarchs fanned out across the galaxy to accomplish this goal, but the one they were expected to report to was his favored son, and the first one found, allegedly, which was Horus. Horus was granted the title of War Master, and he certainly lived up to Big E's expectations, which were very specific and set by Big E himself to
And I'm reading a book about him.
all of his sons. However, either intentionally or not, the Emperor did not mention to his sons some of the more chaotic aspects of the galaxy. Horus himself, while in the process of reclaiming a more advanced human world, was informed of the existence of chaos gods, a factoid that Horus initially did not believe. To him, it was a bit unfathomable to think that his father would admit such significant information on the inner workings of the galaxy. However, he soon realized this was the truth, and this betrayal was unacceptable. With the astronomical weight put on his shoulders and his father immediately leaving it all in his hands, combined with the slow corruption of his mind by those closest to him, he began to change his tune. Horus began amassing a following behind his father's back, with several other
Okay, real quick. Something I want to stop and point out here. So the skulls on his armor, I realized that one, these are either skulls of the enemies, or two, skulls of comrades and other soldiers, which gives the Imperium and the Mechanicus Adeptus, or the Adeptus Mechanicus, a very Eastern Orthodox flavor, because they're one of the few forms of Christianity that does, I don't know the right word for it, bone worship. They have bones, they have remnants and relics of saints, usually body parts that they have in their churches. So I think relic worship is the right word. Yeah, reliquaries. Thank you, Odious. It just tends to usually be bones. And then 2. This is a fascinating tidbit I know from reading the book. Oh, oh, here's a fascinating little tidbit I learned from the book. I'm very curious if we know the identities of these skulls, these 4 skulls that Horus is wearing, because right now in the book, the POV is being told by a member of the Mournival, which is a group of 4 space marines who advise Horus. Right, yeah. Yeah, because to me, this is the iconography is not something that seems to be yes, Garviel. The iconography doesn't appear to be pre or post chaos specific. It's just something I have noticed on some of the miniatures and in the art is that some of them do have skulls. I mean, Catholics do relic worship, but you're not going to walk into a random Catholic church and find the finger bone of a saint. And my source for that is that I grew up Catholic. They don't casually keep bones in the churches. Usually relics are not kept at an everyday church. Eastern Orthodox, they usually just have bones up in there or other stuff. Like, yes, the Catholic Church does have relics and reliquaries, but they're not usually accessible or like at an everyday church. And I think that's like one of the main differences. But yeah, so I can't help but be curious if like, are those the skulls of the enemies? Or yeah, it's usually a specific town or church. So now I'm like curious, and maybe the book will answer this eventually, you know. Are these the skulls of random people, random enemies, or the skulls of his once former advisors? That will be interesting to find out.
Primarchs and began to formulate plans to usurp him from his throne on Terra. While this was occurring, Magnus the Red tried to FaceTime his dad back on Terra, and that resulted in the shattering of a protective barrier between Terra and the demons of the warp. Due to this damage, the Emperor was forced to sit on the Golden Throne to assure that it would continue to function. Ultimately, half of the Primarchs would fall to chaos, and the remaining half would fight back viciously against their brothers. Horus eventually gained the upper hand and arrived in orbit above Terra itself, and after antagonizing his father enough, the Emperor temporarily removed himself from the throne, strategically putting his old friend there as a seat warmer, and went to confront Horus himself on the Vengeful Spirit, his flagship. The Emperor faced down his son, and after a heated battle and 64 novels, the
64. Wait. Hold up. What was that?
Was able to mortally
Hang on.
battle and 60.
Is that the chart? I'm on book 1 of 64. I have 63 books to go. I have 63 books to go. I'm not going to have time for Ian Watson in all of this. Oh, come on. Okay. Thank you for the follow. Whether I continue depends on my devotion to it. They're still making more? Wow, they are really milking this whole Horus heresy business. Also, I just want to point out that because Horus is an Egyptian god, the first time I saw this image, which is a very common image, because Horus... I told you it was wild starting from Horus. Yeah, this is why I'm pointing out that apparently I'm not having a typical entry point into Warhammer. What am I doing here? How did I get here? So the first time I saw this image, by the way, of the Emperor and Horus, because Horus is a sun god in Egyptian mythology, I thought this guy in the gold armor was Horus at first. And then when my first was like, oh, no, you have them switched. Yes, I have started reading the Horus Heresy. I'm a third of the way through. Some of my annotations include bobbly breasting and yowie hands, parentheses, I am going to hell, close parentheses. Yeah, I am going to have to look at the chart after this. Okay. All right. We can just do this now. Yes, Yowie hand. Well, I didn't know there were 64 books when I was handed Horus Rising. Wow. Okay. This is not the worst flowchart I have seen, actually. Yeah, this is not the worst flowchart I have seen. I have seen significantly worse flowcharts. This is actually, you can follow this. This is actually readable. Good job, whoever organized this. Let me, hang on. Will it come up if I just search it? Like, there's, oh, here it is. Oh, the stupid fucking chart. So, when I say that this is actually readable, this is an actual chart that you see in defense acquisition. So this chart compared to this is amazing. Thank you for the follows, by the way. This is amazing compared to this. This chart is a nightmare. I know people, like, I have been in offices and this takes up an entire wall. So, yeah, this is nothing to me. Is it still a ridiculous amount of books? Yes, but the chart is not as bad as I thought it would be. Again, this is a real chart used in the DoD. I'm just gonna leave it up there for emphasis for a bit. Like, can I even zoom in? Oh, it's not, yeah, like this chart is so dumb that, like, it's borderline not even useful. It's so stupid. I hate this chart so much. Dude. Like, this chart isn't even useful. At least this one's useful. Anyways, I should bookmark this. This will help later. Anyways. That's a tangent. First tangent of the year. Woohoo. Back to Bricky.
4 novels, the Emperor managed to obliterate Horus on a subatomic level, but not before his favorite son was able to mortally wound the Emperor. As the dust settled and the traitors fled from Terra, the Emperor's body was dragged back onto the Golden Throne, where it sits permanently to assure that it continues to function. A corpse forced to constantly hold back the horrors of the warp and guide humanity with his pale light.
Okay. Does the Emperor not need to use the restroom? Or does it have built-in toilet functions? Does the Golden Throne have built-in toilet functions? Because how does he handle that?
And that light is flickering. From there, the remaining members of the traitors to the Emperor fled to their respective safe havens. These are the veterans of the Long War, the spiteful, and to them, the wronged. Those who would...
I'm sorry. I love that I asked that question and they were immediate, genuine answers, all clarifying that yes, it has been addressed. It is not an issue. I love that, okay?
Let the galaxy burn if it means the Imperium gets caught in the flames. These are the...
Oh, okay, Chaos. Thanks for the fallout. Dysfunction.
And what are the achievements of your fragile Imperium? It is a corpse rotting slowly from within while maggots writhe in its belly. It was built with the toil of heroes and giants, and now it is inhabited by frightened weaklings to whom the glories of those times are half-forgotten legends. I have forgotten nothing, and my wisdom has expanded far beyond mere mortal frailties.
Okay, listen, I know of Ian Watson. I know some writer cared about this.
Horus Heresy saw the collapse of the Imperium as we knew it at the time, and half of the Space Marine legions fell to the ruinous powers. Though the favored son, War Master Horus, was killed and the rebellion ended, the heretical forces retreated to the warp and remain a constant threat to this day. The twisted reminder of what the temptations of the warp may bring, the Chaos Space Marines act as a mirror to the loyal legions, and as time progresses, their warp taint further changes them to suit the needs of their patron deity. Though marred and absolutely mangled by the ruinous powers, they are still unmistakably Space Marines in stature and shape, and according to them, they have never been more free. After the heresy, the loyal legions of Space Marines became very strict in their organization, and their separation into separate chapters with capped numbers and other formalities was done to prevent any form of heresy from happening again. The Chaos Space Marines are a bit different. Ultimately, these Marines are subject to the primary legions that fell to Chaos in the...
Okay. I just want to say, one, I need a moment to process the poop chalice, the poop vault, and first edition Space Marines 8 poop. Two, you're so right. That is so totally goals. Three, one, oh my god, thank you for this up, by the way. Three, this is such an 80s metal ass image, but I unironically love it. Like, this demon just standing on a pit of corpses with a big ass gun with skulls on it is actually, like, it's so 80s. It just elevates straight into, like, being baller as hell. Oh, damn. Power metal and cocaine, yeah.
First place. The majority of these legions, the Black Legion, the Word Bearers, Iron Warriors, Alpha Legion, and the Night Lords, are supporters of Chaos Undivided, either enjoying the powers of all...
I hate balkanization! Oh my god!
Chaos gods, or sometimes shunning them altogether, but a few of them follow a very specific Chaos god. Thousand Sons are followers of Zeech, the Death Guard follows Nurgle, Slaanesh has their claws in the Emperor's Children, and the World Eaters are avid followers of Khorne. From there, the legions themselves are separated into roaming war bands that may go under their own unique names or may stake a claim to one of the primary legions. Most of the gear and armor of a Chaos Space Marine remains the same, but stylistically it changes quite a bit to reflect the intention of the legion or their patron god. The Death Guard's armor has become rotted and full of gaping mouths and plague-filled boils. The World Eater's sharp and violent armor reflects their bloodthirst, and the chaotic noise of the Emperor's Children armor, nipple rings included, pleases Slaanesh greatly. Due to the taint of chaos, the armor itself becomes less about plating and more about a new skin for any given Chaos Space Marine. Though the Chaos Space Marines have no true fear of death or numbers diminishing, there are still major recruitment efforts for their legions.
Nipple rings, huh? Okay then.
However, the conscription of these recruits is a lot more chaos-fueled and is more of a forced assimilation, and in some instances, breeding. The organ implementations and other modifications are the same, and the necessity of a gene seed remains the same, but the result is a hell of a lot different. Understanding Chaos Space Marines is a difficult exercise. If we took my original video 5 years back and looked at the Imperial Knights section, it mainly focuses on big stompy robots. Now that I understand more, I can discuss the Code Chivalric, the Throne Mechanicum, Squires, and Monarch.
I'm gonna be honest. I appreciate everyone warning me not to look that up. I'm gonna assume that it is some Ian Watson ass shit. The Demon Kulaba, unfortunately, is one letter off from sounding like a part of the female anatomy, so I have an idea, and yeah, I'm definitely not gonna look that up. Alrighty then.
and bring some more context to it all. To assume Chaos Space Marines are simply the opposite side of Space Marines would be foolish, for once you understand the plight of their Primarchs, it can provide a context always needed. Horus himself turned through an overwhelming weight on his shoulders and lies told by his father. But what of Angron? Angron lived as a slave gladiator for his planet's masters, who took Dark Age technology and shoved it into his brain, so experiencing any emotion other than rage was agony for him. He finally leads a revolt for his fellow gladiators and frees himself from the confines of servitude. The Emperor finds him and says he will take him home, but
Wait, so he's Spartacus. Like, he's grimdark Spartacus.
Angron refuses. He will fight with his friends against the tyranny of his slave owners to the last. At the final last stand with him and his closest friends, slave gladiators, all of them outnumbered and on the verge of death, the Emperor forcefully teleports Angron to his flagship and none of his compatriots, leaving Angron to live and watch all of his friends die. You kept that mule Corferon. Russ kept his kin friends. The Lion kept Luther. Humans, brothers, and foster fathers, saved and raised into Legion ranks. But not me. Not Angron, no. Did the Emperor teleport his gold-wrapped custodians down to help me in my army? No. Did he free the Warhounds and order them to battle, fight alongside me? No. Did he save my brothers and sisters the way he spared and honored the Lion's kin, the way he honored Corferon? No, no, and no. No mercy for Angron, Angron the Oathbreaker, Angron the Betrayer.
Yeah, whoever said this is a valid crash out, you're 100% right. This is probably one of the most valid crash outs.
Conrad Kurz lived as a lonely boy scrounging the dregs of a hive city plagued by constant visions of an assassin sent to murder him by his own father. Lorgar was born on a world of chaos worshippers with abusive parents, and the Emperor decided the best way to reprimand him was destroy.
So remember how we were talking about people and reliquaries? Dude, imagine just walking around with an entire guy's skeleton on you. Like, damn. Damn. Yeah, Angron, from all these motivations so far, Angron was actually kind of justified in his actions.
Murder him by his own father. Lorgar was born on a world of chaos worshippers with abusive parents, and the Emperor decided the best way to reprimand him was destroy his holy city. The Emperor robbed Mortarion of vengeance and suppressed Magnus at every turn. The question isn't why the Primarchs rebelled. The question is, why didn't they sooner? To them, they are not the betrayers. They are the betrayed. They were under the boot of a golden tyrant, and they finally could be free from his heel. Of course, things have changed a lot since the heresy, and the Primarchs of the Chaos Space Marines that have survived the fall are a twisted variant of what they used to be. They have all, for the most part, ascended to the position of Demon Prince and act as a direct connection between their god and their legion. However, due to the nature of the transformation and dedication to a particular chaos god, their actions tend to be separate from their legion's actions. Fulgrim, for example, is so infatuated with being a Demon Prince of Slaanesh that he is at times far too focused on his own personal perfection as opposed to conquest. And
okay, I do know, what I know about Fulgrim is that he found his sword and it was downhill from there. That's what I know about Fulgrim and the Emperor's children. Found a cursed sword.
Sitting around like Frankfurter on his throne. Meanwhile, Lorgar is being stalked by a bird, so
Wait,
he's
what?
always on edge. The most adamant against the temptations of the Chaos Gods, Perturabo, was even made a Demon Prince as a reward for being the one who did the most work on the group project. Chaos Space Marines are a fascinating faction because there is a great deal of cognitive dissonance that is represented in them. Depending on which faction you follow, your devotion to chaos is a sliding scale, and the representation in the universe is so varied. Some are there to reap a high tally of kills for their patron deity, while others are there purely to destroy the Imperium who wronged them. Some are there to torture and maim, and some are there to conquest and conquer. There is
Corvus. Wait. The guy's name is Corvus Corax. Oh man, that's great. That's great. Also, I will say, if it is a well-forged sword, then yeah, I get it. Good smithing on a sword is pretty nice to look at. Um, so if it was a well-forged sword, then yeah, I guess I can't blame Fulgrim because I can appreciate good forging on a sword. I can appreciate a well-made sword. It's why someday I want to go to Japan and check out some of the katana they have on display, especially the Mikazuchi Minazuki, who is considered one of the 5 imperial treasured swords of Japan. But, you know, that's a tangent.
Is no unifying glue. They fight each other as much as they fight everyone else, and their machinations are entirely up to their warband. You have all walked different paths, but together we have come to the same destination. The Emperor has failed us. The Imperium has failed us all. It has failed us by the laxity of its laws, the decadence of its culture, and in the injustices heaped upon those of us who serve the most loyally. It has failed us by never recognizing our virtues, never rewarding us for the blood we shed and bringing about its ascendancy, and never providing unity when we needed it most.
You know, I am going to pause this quote because someone said fire writing. And I do think that's an interesting comment because one thing I noticed immediately when I started reading Horus Rising is that the crow, the angry one. Oh, man. Alexander the Great when naming cities. Oh, wow. That's so... Come on. Surely they're a little more creative than that. So I will say one thing I have noticed about the writing and the prose in Horus Rising is that there is definitely a lot of lines where you can tell they want it to like sound like fire in so many places. But there's also times where I feel like it almost goes into too much detail. And it's like a really weird initial impression because I think, at least with Horus Rising so far, the goal is they want you to be able to imagine everything clearly inside, like in your mind as you're reading it. They want you to have a clear picture and understanding of what's going on. But it also is a little hilarious to me because it's theatrical as heck, and it makes me wonder like how many of the people writing these books dabbled in theater at some point. And I really hope someday it can be confirmed that some of the writers of the Warhammer novels were in fact theater kids, because that would genuinely make me so happy if that were to be the case.
It has failed us by being flawed to its core, imperfect in its pursuit of a perfect culture, and in its weakness against the encroachment of Xenos breeds that seek to twist humanity to alien ends. And it has failed us, most of all, by being founded upon lies. The Imperium is forged by a dangerous deceit and erodes us all by demanding we sacrifice truth on the altar of necessity. This is an empire propagated by sin that deserves to die. And here on Istvan 5, we begin the purge. From these ashes shall rise the new kingdom of mankind, an imperium of justice, faith, and enlightenment.
All right, pausing the quote again, because we have hit ads on Twitch. Thank God the counter's working after all. So those who are new, I do multi-stream on both Twitch and YouTube, and I do run ads as the explanation states above, because that's the only way I can have any form of control over pre-roll and ads. If I could not run ads, I would. But I do want to pause for everyone on Twitch so that the ads can run out. And so, yeah, this has been interesting because I think the most fascinating thing about the Chaos Space Marines is that, true to their name, they are in fact chaotic. They're not very organized. Yes, consistently inconsistent as an author. Yeah, we're snorting quite as much gas at the time this quote was issued. So it's definitely interesting that they actually did kind of. I've noticed that there's a lot of fine details that they are surprisingly paying attention to, because every now and then I'll ask a really granular question, like, is there an STC for flying buttresses? And usually I can find an answer, and that's utterly fascinating to me. Because like someone was just like, oh yeah, I've seen flying buttresses on the ship, so yeah, they definitely have an STC for flying buttresses. And no one questions that I'm asking that question to begin with. They're just like, yeah, the ships have flying buttresses. Any other questions? Even when I asked earlier which chaos god would be fed and thrive on toe socks, it's like everyone answers it seriously. It's just it's kind of incredible, like the level of granular detail that you can find that people know, or everything started going downhill since Istvan. Yeah, I will say another thing that confused me is that in Horus Rising, they open with the line, I was there the day Horus killed the Emperor. And it turns out that's basically because they found a planet that happened to be named Terra, that happened to have an Imperium of Man, that happened to have an Emperor of Mankind. And it's so funny because it's just kind of like, I was like, is there like a reason for that, or is it just a coincidence? And then it turns out apparently it's just a coincidence so they can open the book with that line. And I was just like, yeah. But Glade Gunpla was a hobby, yeah. It was definitely a wink to readers. Oh, yeah, no. For those who don't know, yeah, we are in the middle. I got handed Horus Rising. I'm a third of the way through it. We're going through it. Anyways, ad break finished. Ad break. Back to the quote. I'm gonna rewind it a bit so we can get the proper quote. 40K novels are pulp fiction. Yeah. Dude, I hate ads. So I will pause it if I can.
Of a perfect culture, and in its weakness against the encroachment of Xenos, breeds that seek to twist humanity to alien ends. And it has failed us, most of all, by being founded upon lies. The Imperium is forged by a dangerous deceit, and erodes us all by demanding we sacrifice truth on the altar of necessity. This is an empire propagated by sin that deserves to die. And here on Istvan 5, we begin the purge. From these ashes shall rise the new kingdom of mankind, an imperium of justice, faith, and enlightenment, an imperium heralded, commanded, and protected by the avatars of the gods themselves, an empire strong enough to stand through a future of blood and fire. Naturally, however, as I have said before, Space Marines do not make up the bulk of the fighting force in the Imperium. So it would be ludicrous for me to not mention their dark cousins. The Code Chivalry is the sign of the power of the Imperial Knights. But what about the...
the what now? I'm sorry, the who?
The ruinous powers claimed during the Horus Heresy extended beyond just the Space Marines and the Primals. Mars itself was subject to a revolution that saw half of them fall to chaos as well.
Oh.
And some of the once loyal knight houses saw themselves swearing fealty to the dark gods. The falling of these factions allows for the war machine of chaos to continue uninterrupted and to have firepower equal to that of the Imperium itself. The Dark Mechanicum, as the name suggests, is the chaos-affiliated branch of the Mechanicus, and have a lot more free reign, much like the freedoms of the Chaos Space Marines. The seeds of the Dark Mechanicum were planted fairly early due to some of the Mechanicum not really seeing the Emperor as the Omnissiah immediately.
These are the guys who get the kit bash then. We found the kit bashers.
And Horus exploited this to allow the schism to happen a bit more naturally. Unlike their Imperial brothers, the Dark Mechanicum have the ability to invent and innovate.
Okay.
What a concept. while also utilizing forbidden technologies such as the Silica Animus or AI. The Dark Mechanicum do have their own desires to find lost technologies and put them to use, but they're more interested in taking ancient and forbidden technology from Imperial worlds and activating them for their own purposes. Because what good is a bunch of knob and tube wiring if you don't overload it with as many extension cords as possible? However, instead of being clear-cut and more generalized creations, the inventions of the Dark Mechanicum are inherently tied with the warp and
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to pause at the Microsoft Copilot faction. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll backtrack. Okay.
concept, while also utilizing forbidden technologies such as the Silica Animus or AI. The Dark Mechanicum do have their own desires to find lost technologies and put them to use, but they're more interested in taking ancient and forbidden technology from Imperial worlds and activating them for their own purposes. Because what good is a bunch of knob and tube wiring if you don't overload it with as many extension cords as possible? However, instead of being clear-cut and more generalized creations, the inventions of the Dark Mechanicum are inherently tied with the warp and its demons. Genetic experimentation and modification, the fusion of man and machine are exceptionally common, and no creation is more reflective of this than the demon engines. Instead of regular tanks and vehicles, the demon engines are machines bound with the presence of demons to make them living war machines. Unlike the vehicles of the Imperium, where a Mechanicus priest may be there to aid in its repair, a Warpsmith sorcerer is there to essentially repair and irritate the demon engine so that it can be a more effective killing machine. In certain factions, like the bitter and siege-loving Iron Warriors, they will lure demons with the promise of glory and easy bloodletting, only to then forcibly trap them into these demonic engines to use as weapons of war against the Imperium.
Oh my god.
Some lesser gods, like Vashtor the Archifane, is also a contract and arms dealer for the demonic stuff that comes out of chaos. Many demons may sign a pact with Vashtor in the soul forges of the warp. And
I'm sorry. The idea of a demon being a contracted arms dealer, and I'm just imagining these people summoning this demon from the warp and being like, yeah, can we get a pricing and availability on these, like, on these weapons and stuff? And then, like, every time they submit it, it's like, because it's a contract, they have to do stuff like submit a letter of request and a letter of acceptance for buying things. Because technically this, since they're dealing with the warp, it would be not entirely unlike foreign military sales. Bashtor is essentially the case manager for the warp, and now I'm just imagining the Demon military industrial complex. Oh my god, this lines up so well with the Mechanicus basically being like Raytheon and the contractors and the military industrial complex. Holy crap! Oh my god. Oh my god. It's just foreign military sales. Oh my god, I wonder if that means they have. Yeah, like he's basically the case manager for the Dark Adeptus Mechanicum. Oh my god, the idea of the warp and the chaos gods. Oh no, but it would fit so well for them to have program agencies and bureaucracy to run an arms program to provide to the. Oh my god, it would make so much sense since the warp is hell. Oh, Zinj would love this. Oh my god. Every time I'm getting a headache from bureaucracy at work, I'm going to like curse Zinj. That's absolutely a Zinj thing. Oh my god, oh man. Dude, wait. That means they have like, so do they have configurations for all the, oh man. Oh my god. I'm just imagining I wonder what that T-Sarb would look like. Holy crap. I'm sorry. I'm jumping a bunch of words that not everyone here is going to know, and I should stop that. Bye.
In doing so, are given the weapons of war to kill as much as they can. Should they do so, excellent, you may keep it. Should you not, I hope you enjoy your soul working in the forges for all eternity. That's what you signed with
so that's what's
blood
on the P&A,
and
gotcha.
In addition, much like their ties in the Loyalist realm, the Dark Mechanicum and the Chaos Knight houses are deeply intertwined. There were, of course, many Knight houses that swore fealty and bent the knee to War Master Horus during the heresy, but a good portion of them had no choice, as they were absorbed by warp storms and corrupted into compliance. Many of these Chaos Knights reflect the very early Dark Age technology Knights with more corrupted weapons. The Throne Mechanicum, which once had a noble sitting and taking control of generations of previous drivers and taming a beast, is now a saddle to a monstrosity of wrath and hatred. The nobles of the Chaos Knights fight to aggravate and bring the machine to their will while combating the corrupted minds of their fallen ancestors. Some of these nobles may do such a good job that they themselves fuse into the throne itself and become one with the knight. If a noble dies, no worries at all. Unlike the Imperial ones that require a pilot, a demon can hop into the cockpit and control it instead. The Night Worlds also see full corruption as well. Where there were once peasants, there are now cultists. And the goal of the Chaos Knights are just as chaotic as the gods they follow. Some are sent to war by the ruinous powers. Others may protect Dark Mechanicum Forge worlds, and others still may be so hyped up on the ruinous powers that they are just aimless and reckless, hoping to unravel the fabric of the universe itself. Though the aspect of nobility is still there with the Chaos Knight, but it's hardly the same as it is on the Imperial side. As opposed to a beautiful knightly stallion, the knights here are horrifying and unpredictable monstrosities, fueled in part by the agony of the memories of the ancestors trapped within. An invasion by a house of Chaos Knights is a horrifying thing. One might ask, how do knights enter the battlefield? Normally they can be deployed via dropships, the standard way, but Imperial knights can be deployed with a drop keep.
Okay, I just want to go back real quick because I need the Gunpla knowers to back me on this. But is it just me, or does this thing kind of have a similar silhouette to Big Zam? I can't be the only one who sees Big Zam in that. Okay, moving on.
Dropships the standard way, but Imperial knights can be deployed with a drop keep, a gigantic knight keep with like towers and stuff. Will hurtle towards the surface like a drop pod and be slammed into the ground with an excessively thunderous crash. Then
wait. Like they just dropped the whole building with the robot in it? Is that what he's getting at? That's so stupid. It's actually rad as shit. Oh my god.
massive drawbridges slam down, banners unfurl, and huge horns play the song of their people as these lumbering robots charge out of their, again, drop keep to fight for the Imperium. So imagine what a warp-fueled version of this could look like.
Oh.
If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself.
Chaos Knights have such a presence, the warp fluctuates in their tread. They bring doom, dread, and despair across the battlefield. Warp storms occur overhead, and psychic phenomenon cling to them. A Chaos Knight will arrive either in some warp-debased platform, or perhaps a portal itself, or climb out of a pool of blood. As the air gets heavy, the enemy feels a crippling sense of paranoia, and the sky begins to rain blood, acid, and God knows what else. The horrors of the warp have resulted in a dramatic change in technology in the favor of their forces. Though in practice, it is a horror beyond comprehension, their baseline desires don't seem that radical on paper. They are creative builders, working...
I will say, like, so as someone who is a Gundam fan, it is deeply funny to me that this is just a casual event that happens, because a major event in the UC timeline, at least, is the it's called Operation British. It's when they drop a colony on Australia, and then they attempt to repeat it by dropping another colony on Earth in the Axis shock. And then this is just a casual everyday thing in Warhammer. Like, yeah. yeah. Like, this is just a thing. Just casual Axis shocks is how you enter the battlefield. Like, okay.
To innovate and improve technology while utilizing anything they can to accomplish their STEM goals. Looking at the dark forces of chaos and the Emperor now on his golden throne, humanity is fractured. The Emperor himself is the guiding light for warp travel for humanity, and in being that exists as a beacon for the entire species. With
Rip Australia, but to be fair, if it got rid of the spiders, it may have been worth it.
Without him, things would get somehow worse.
Oh.
Therefore, he needs his protectors. Where a Thunder Warrior wasn't enough for his armies, and half of his Space Marines turned traitor, the Emperor's personal bodyguards are something else entirely. They are not the fallible Astartes, nor are they a nightmarish concoction of organs and indoctrination. They are built and gene-crafted with science bordering on magic. They number 10,000 strong, and each of them is a hero. They are the
So
Rare is the battle where an Emperor's custodians outnumber our foes. We are ever beset, surrounded upon all sides by heresy and foulness, just as is Terra itself. Yet, like the throne world, we stand resolute, indefatigable, indomitable. Let the enemy come. Let them darken the horizon with their numbers. Still, we will prevail. Though the Emperor sits rotting on the golden throne, his talons remain sharp. The talons of the Emperor was the name given to the most elite forces at his disposal. The left hand of his talons comes in the form of the Sisters of Silence, psychic blanks that scour the galaxy to claim souls, to fuel the Astronomicon in the form of the Great Tide. 1,000 psychers sacrificed daily to keep the Emperor of Mankind alive, dragged into the black ships of the Silent Sisterhood. The right hand of the Emperor's protectorate, his golden bodyguards that serve him and only him. These are the custodians. While the members of the Space Marines went out to take back the galaxy, the Legio Custodes stood back and kept a close watch over the Emperor.
So basically, these guys are like the polar opposite of the shenanigans the Praetorian Guard got up to in ancient Rome. Got it.
Himself. The Custodes are, in a sense, similar to Space Marines in that they are genetically modified super soldiers clad in power armor, but that is where the similarities stop. Their genetic makeup seems to be made from the Emperor himself, or at least something quite close. And the precision of their creation predates the development of the Space Marines and even the Primarchs. Unlike Space Marine recruitment, where there's a process undertaken when a subject is at least somewhat grown, a custodian's process begins at infancy. The methods in which they are made are a secret, but what is known is that at the very beginning, each custodian was made by the Emperor himself. Regardless of the bioalchemical process, the process is exceptionally long and grueling, and only a handful of selected aspirants make it to the end. Those that do are clad in the most regal and effective armor in the Imperium. Commonly, a custodian is seen carrying a guardian spear, an utterly yoked up version of the staves the Praetorian Guards of the Emperor in Star Wars had. They are also clad with specific shields and blades, but the most interesting thing with all of their gear is that due to the meticulous and dedicated maintenance and preservation of their armor and gear, these items are the same ones they used 10,000 years ago. The custodians do not age biologically, so some of the veterans in the Guard may be several thousand years old. And unlike the Space Marines, they fight entirely as a solo force. When a line of custodians is holding back waves of enemies, they operate independently. There are no battle formations, there are no squad tactics. Each custodian is the main character, trailed by serfs and servitors, tasked entirely to reload their weapons. They fight with a singular purpose, if not action. Groups of custodians will dispatch enemy after enemy, their spears coming within inches of each other, but never close enough for a killing blow. Their strikes are intentionally defensive, allowing their opponents to attack 1 to 2 times before parrying and ending their lives. Each strike deflected is an opportunity to know their enemy more and learn from their patterns. They are truly the Emperor's bodyguards, masters of close combat, enemy knowledge, and reactions measured in milliseconds. Though the custodians are a part of the Adeptus Terra, the members of the Guard only answer to their own leadership and the Emperor himself. The leader of the custodians is known as the Captain General, and individual squads of custodians are overseen by a shield captain. As their focus is on the Emperor, their command center is located within the Imperial Palace. The Tower of Hegemon serves as their primary base of operations, but there is a dedicated elite guard of custodians known as the Companions that stands 300 strong by the Emperor's side. In total, the custodians are 10,000 strong, and when a member retires, their name is added to the Hall of Name and vanish across the galaxy in a cloaked disguise to serve as eyes and ears for the Imperium. Despite their numbers and their strength, the members of the custodians do not consider themselves to be soldiers or warriors in any way. They see themselves strictly as the guardians of the Emperor in all facets of his presence. This extends beyond the physical. Custodians believe they represent the guarding of the Emperor's ideals and philosophies too. Their gains are both physical and literary. They are the protectorates of everything the Emperor stood for, and in doing so, the custodians are also artisans and scholars, in addition to being the golden guard of the Golden Throne. However, due to this nature of being protectorates, they have a very strong view when it comes to the Space Marines and the Primarchs. The Emperor himself had insinuated many times that once the galaxy was brought to heel, that there would be no need for the Space Marines anymore, and they were to go the same way that the Thunder Warriors went before them. The custodians were meant to be the judge, jury, and executioner of this will, and are biologically designed not only to be able to take down Space Marine with ease, but to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Primarch as well. During the heresy, the custodians mused on how suspiciously easy it was to kill Chaos Space Marines, as if they were trained and made for that explicit purpose. Constantine Valdor, one of the closest advisors of the Emperor, was asked if he ever disagreed with Biggie on something. And he said, once, with the formation of the Primarchs.
I feel I do my best, but they don't.
Let me ask you a very fair question. What do you do successfully?
Oh my god! Oh no! I was not expecting a drag race cut in the middle of all of this. I remember this season. I watched this season. Bianca Del Rio, I love you. I've been to one of her shows. Oh my goodness. What a good cutaway gag.
Quickly.
This was such a shady ass moment.
I hate that every time we're in Untucked, the conversations are about me.
And besides the trained distrust for Space Marines, the custodians also have evidence for their distrust. The Horus Heresy saw half of the chapters fall to chaos and turn traitor against the Emperor. In the mind of a custodian, the fact that half of the Space Marines fell before means that the other half can fall with ease. They are fully capable of wiping out literally any force put against them, and in a sense are the final representation of the golden age of terror. However, they are forced to stand in silent and blind service to the Emperor and to the ill of the Imperium. And they, for 10,000 years, have stood vigil over the Imperium and have watched its rise and fall with the inability to do anything about it. While they do go out and fight some battles here and there, at the end of the day, the vastness of the Imperium means that the closest advisors to the Emperor himself are powerless to make any change. But goddamn, can they kill a space marine? For
Damn.
100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready, always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within, little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years, I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. Of course, a threat directly to Terra itself would appear to be something foolish. It's
Is that
in
India?
the deepest parts of Imperial space and is one of the most defended bastions in the galaxy. You'd truly have to be foolhardy or insane to think that you can take on Terra
Wait, that's India, right? Okay.
itself. However, one faction certainly got close.
Oh?
In the dark ages of the stars and in a river of misery, there is one faction having a cracking old time.
Oh?
The galaxy sees them as savages, yet they have already figured out the questions of the universe. Their numbers are uncountable, their
Could this
technology
be?
incomprehensible, and yet their
Is it
violence
our
is so
boys?
very green. I am, of course, talking about the The orcs are the pinnacle of
Okay,
creation.
I need to pay
For
attention.
them, the great struggle is won. They have evolved a society which knows no stress or angst.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we to judge them? We Eldar who have failed, or the humans on the road to ruin
Everything
in
in
their
chat
turn?
is just wah.
And why? Because we saw answers to questions that an orc
There
wouldn't
we go,
even
we go,
bother
we
to
go.
ask. We see a culture that is strong
Uh-huh.
and despise it as crude. During the war in heaven, the old ones were doing their best to spawn as many combatants to their cause as possible by seeding the galaxy in a specialized sense. The Eldar were made to be a precise and tactical species to fight off the Catan and the Necrons.
Right.
But another prominent species was made by them as well. The Krork were warriors clad in ornate armor with more dangerous weaponry. However, things changed, and these warriors changed, and the Krork are no more. They are now known as the boys, the lads, the mates, the orcs. An orc in 40k looks like an orc in most other fantasy media. Hulking,
Hang on. So does that mean that orcs pop out for a cheeky Nando's with the lads?
warlike monstrosities with big teeth and worse attitudes. However, unlike the more Tolkien-esque forms of these creatures, the devastating nature of the orcs is in their biology.
Okay.
Unlike most species in the galaxy, the orcs are actually a type of fungus. This fungus itself comes in various forms. The small goblin-like Gretchen and snotlings are a part of this fungal ecosystem as well, and also the squigs, which can be used for basic
Is there stuff? There is stuff happening. Oh no. What happened to the bit rate? Oh. Oh no, the bit rate is tanking a smidge. All right, hold up. Let's give it a second for the bit rate to stabilize then. Uh-oh, I will backtrack a bit then, because this entire segment has been amazing so far. All right. Bitrate, we hanging in there? We got some scuff. Dang, it was doing so well this stream so far too. All right. If their squig is called Nando's, then yeah. I again, it's very funny to me just how everything exploded into wah, the boys. There we go, there we go, there we go. Let's go, lads. Same, you're still lagging. Okay. Yeah, so that's interesting. They're fungi. Yeah, let's give it a minute for the connection to stabilize. It looks like it's holding steady for now, which is good. Any orc with hair. Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun fact. Has a wig squig? What? oh, nope, it dropped again. All right. All right, okay. No, is it back? Are we good? We good? I'm only half an hour in. It's been like an hour and a half. What? Am I gonna finish this video tonight? Okay, it looks like it's back to normal, so I'm gonna go ahead and start up again.
The boys, the lads, the mates, the orcs. An orc in 40k looks like an orc in most other fantasy media. Hulking, warlike monstrosities with big teeth and worse attitudes. However, unlike the more Tolkien-esque forms of these creatures, the devastating nature of the orcs is in their biology. Unlike most species in the galaxy, the orcs are actually a type of fungus.
Right.
This fungus itself comes in various forms. The small goblin-like Gretchen and snotlings are a part of this fungal ecosystem as well, and also the squigs, which can be used for basically anything. But regardless of what is a part of the fungal system, all of them are born from spores that land on the ground and grow. As they travel around the galaxy, they drop spores literally everywhere, and then an orc dies, and they drop tons of fungal spores that allows for their numbers to be replenished over a period of time. Because of this, orcs are not only extremely prominent across the galaxy, but they are exceptionally resilient due to their growing cycle. Even if one orc lands on a planet, it will be nearly impossible to get rid of all of the orc presence unless the planet itself is completely destroyed.
So they're kind of like an invasive fungal species, but also not entirely unlike cancer, I guess. If a planet gets orcs, it's got cancer. You basically gotta nuke the planet to get rid of them. Kind of like chemotherapy, I guess. So, sure, cancer mushroom boys. All right. Tell me the name of God, you fungal fuck. I'm not afraid of you. And then they're just like, you cannot kill me. You know, how does that meme go? The tell me the name of God meme with the mushroom. I can never remember it.
And even then, they might find a way to survive. Due to their fungal nature, orcs don't really stop growing.
Oh.
And the more long-lived an orc is, the bigger they get.
Lobsters.
And the more an orc fights, the bigger they get. Of course, since they're constantly getting into scraps, an orc's lifespan isn't necessarily that long, so the bigger orcs are harder to find. Though alongside this, however, they are a tribe-based species that is comprised of war bands, and the biggest and the strongest orc leads the war band known as the war boss. At the bottom end of the orc tribal system are the Gretchens and the Snotlings. These members act as the servants and slaves of the orcs, and sometimes their actual ammunition, despite being a bit smarter and more cunning than their bigger brethren. Because in orc culture, the biggest is the boss. The smallest gets picked on and thrown around. Beyond the war bands and the tribes, orcs also belong to a specific clan. Tribes constantly shatter and rebuild, but the
Wait, so does that mean, okay, does that mean there's like a band of orcs out there that are just Mad Maxing it up with their own equivalent of a doof warrior? Like, am I on the right track? Do I have the correct understanding of orcs? Okay, good to know.
clans do not. They are, in a sense, a psychological state of being for
They're
any
all
given
Mad
orc,
Max.
and gives an orc their specific character and traits. And to make things easier, these clans are also color-coded.
Oh!
So that's very easy to tell what orc does what.
Whales?
Though there are many clans out
Wait.
there, 6 of them, that's very easy to tell.
Okay. So we've got England, Scotland, Wales, and I can't see this one clearly. Alrighty then. It's just the United Kingdom.
What orc does what. Though there are many clans out there, 6 of them are the most prominent and well known. The Bad Moons are essentially the merchants and have a lot of money because their currency is teeth, and they grow teeth faster than any others. The Blood Axes are the stealth units, and by stealth it means like slightly more quiet than the others, and they have a love for LARPing as humies. Death Skulls are the scavengers, and the Goths are the close combat specialists. And on the 2 ends of the spectrum, we also have the tech-savvy Evil Sons and the more traditionalist and tribal Snakebites. Another major facet of orcs is their religious beliefs. They believe in 2 gods, Gork and Mork. Gork is cunningly brutal, and Mork is brutally cunning. The difference between them, according to orcs, is that Mork hits you when you aren't looking, and Gork hits you when you are. There's a lot of confusion as to which one is which.
I'm sorry, I need to see
And
this
this
full image.
results in a lot of infighting. In other species, this would be considered a sort of religious conflict, but for the orcs, it's just another excuse to fight. I have
Oh
a
my
quote
God.
here, but I don't really do a good orc voice, so I'm going to get my co-host of That's Ridiculous to read this one, and I'll try to lip sync it.
Oh, he's more cunning in a grot and more killy than a dread. The boys that follow me can't be beat. On Piscina, we jumped the Marine boys, and our boss pose was covered in the helmets we took from the dead-ends. We burned their port and killed their bosses and left nothing but ruins behind. I'm Warlord Gezgul Mac Urukdraka, and I speak with the word of the gods. We's gonna stomp the universe flat and kill anything what fights back. We's gonna do this 'cause we're orcs, and we was made to fight and win.
There's a spell called Foot of Grot. Foot of Gore. I is more cunning than a grot, more killy than a dread. Oh my god. The boys that follow me can't be beat. I'm Piscina. 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 Hey, I just heard him say it and I already can't say it. Oh my god.
It's because this fucking sounds terrible. Fighting is the biggest aspect of orc culture, and it's essentially their life's purpose. They are genetically hardwired to get into battles and scraps with enemies that can feel pain. The more they fight, the bigger they get. This, combined with them getting bigger over time, means that some of the biggest and baddest orcs of all time have been notably gigantic. The Beast, as he was known, was about the size of an imperial knight. If an orc runs out of other enemies to fight, they will immediately start infighting to scratch the battle itch. For example, in the Warp, a planet exists where a band of orcs are in a constant state of war and battle, and have been for an improbably long amount of time, strictly because how much Korn enjoys himself watching it.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, when you said it summons a big green foot that smashes people, I did not think Frog Squash in Chrono Trigger. I thought opening of Monty Python where the foot comes down at the end of the intro, but green. So that's where I went with that.
For some, being trapped in a perpetual war planet for all eternity would be a fate worse than death, but to the boys, this is heaven. In the event of a particularly big battle, a massive amount of tribes and war bands will unite under what is known as the Wa. The concept of a Wa covers a few bases. The first is the group aspect of the massive green tidal wave of orcs fighting for the same cause, the cause being the second base. But the most prominent aspect of the Wa is the psychic aspect of it. Remember how the old ones made the Eldar and all the Eldar are psychic? Well, the orcs are too, kinda, but just not as much. Only a little bit of it. And they often don't know how to use it and frankly don't care. But a huge gathering of orcs generates a psychic field that allows orcs to be more organized, dangerous, and dedicated to the war-based cause. However, the true extent of the psychic energy and its usage is relatively unknown, but that doesn't matter considering the outcome 90% of the time. In a similar sense, their ragtag technology and weaponry is also a mystery to most who encounter it purely because of that Wa energy. The technology the orcs use seem to be held together with duct tape and plastic glue, and crude doesn't even begin to describe it. Their guns seem to have an inordinate amount of ammunition and firepower, and they are seemingly able to put things together on the fly in the middle of combat. The Imperium is of the mind that the orcs' weapons and machinery only work due to their innate psychic ability, but realistically, orc gear hardly works in the first place. Weapons blow up in a Bugs Bunny-esque manner all the time, and their war buggies can collapse in the middle of battle. Just because it works a handful of times does not mean it's an effective weapon. But this doesn't stop the orcs and their green tide. To really understand the power of the Wa energy, orcs can operate purely off of belief. Now, a misconception is that orcs believe something is real and it happens. But that isn't true, because that's just one orc. However, there's never one orc. There's normally a few billion orcs together, and if they all believe something is true, the warp will tend to respond with a positive green light. Sometimes. Do the red ones go faster? Well, with enough orcs, yeah. How does an orc bug you?
Okay, so basically they have some kind of collective unconsciousness shenanigan going down where the more of them that agree with it. Oh, but also they're a mushroom myconid fungal network. That's why the more of them are, the more connected the network becomes, the stronger it gets. It's all reinforced because technically they're all connected as a fungus. Oh, yeah, okay. And then basically there's some kind of collective unconsciousness shenanigans going on that causes the warp to respond because basically it's like, damn, no, there's a bunch of them who believe this, so I guess it might be true. Okay. Yeah, these guys would absolutely be Shar as Napple fans. They'd be like, look, he's red and he goes faster. We like this guy.
With an engine block that's just a boulder with vroom vroom written in chalkwork. Who cares? Orcs breathing on a ship with a hull breach? Go ahead. An orc went back in time to kill a version of himself so he could have two of his favorite weapons. It is shenanigans. Because of their actions and aesthetic, the orcs tend to be presented in a comic relief sense.
Achievements and ignorance.
Particularly the media from their perspective.
So basically, they don't understand that certain things shouldn't be impossible, so they're able to make it possible. Got it.
They are bumbling and loud and goofy British football hooligans, and they say silly things and act in silly ways. But to the citizens of the Imperium, the orcs are far from funny. They are violent and irrational creatures that take humans for punching bags, slaves, or ultimately dinner. They have no moral compass and are violent and brutal killers that know nothing else. They are genetically designed to be a violent species that was capable of beating back the Necrons and the Catan. And if the orcs were ever able to unify under one banner, they would be utterly unstoppable. However, due to their aggressive nature, their organizational skills are non-existent, and they tend to just beat each other up for the fun.
Cancer.
All that exists in the mind of an orc is fighting, and nothing else. If they wipe out their enemies, they will inevitably wipe themselves out as well. They are a brutal Ouroboros doomed to an endless war cycle, but why does it matter? If they fight and they win, they win. If they fight and they die, it was a good fight. Now that the Xenos armies are growing in strength and more are threatening the safety of the Imperium, they need to bring new methods in order to handle what they are currently facing. The Emperor is on the Golden Throne. Half the Space Marines are traitor and they are beset from enemies within and without. So now the Lords on Terra must prepare for anything possible and sometimes the impossible. For that, they take to the stars to explore and expand. They recruit assassins for priority eliminations. They train a galactic police force. And
I will say, by the way, now I understand why everyone speaks so affectionately about the orcs.
a secret police to root out any and all heresy. The lesser known, yet most feared.
Okay. I thought that said Argents. It says agents.
I carry with me an inquisitorial seal. It is a small, unassuming object contained in a neat box of Pluvian obsidian. It is a modest thing, relatively plain, adorned with a single motif and a simple motto. Yet with this little object, I can sign the death warrant of an entire world and can sign 1 billion souls to oblivion. where the Imperium may see its justice dealt out by the hands
Like
of
the
its
Elder
armies
Scrolls?
and the gauntlets of its Astartes. When one needs eyes, ears, or both cut out, it looks to the agents of the Imperium. In a meta sense, these agents are a homogenized version of multiple factions from the original video 5 years ago. They comprise multiple aspects of the wide and all-encompassing armies of humanity and serve different roles. Whether it be the law enforcers of the Adeptus Arbites, the void-faring explorers of rogue traders, the invisible hand of the Assassinorum, or the hospitality of the Emperor's Inquisition, each has a part to play in the God Emperor's domain. Rogue traders are a great example of a somewhat undiscussed part of the Imperium: its nobility. While you may see the General Imperium as a totalitarian hellscape, because it is, this is to those under the boot of the nobles that run it. Rogue traders are a special kind of explorer, and their existence is extremely important to the function of the Imperium.
So they're the EVE Online players of the Imperium?
Rogue trader is often an extremely special individual and is given the monumentally sized warrant of trade, allowing them to be given almost complete and utter freedom. Their task is simple: to chart the uncharted, learn the unlearned, and do whatever they can as an explorer and conquistador for those back on Terra. This information is, strictly speaking, invaluable. Whether a sector can be settled and colonies built, or precious rare resources exist on a floating asteroid can be mined, or a long-lost Imperial world from the Age of Strife is recovered, it's all absolutely imperative. These rogue traders are faster than any other kind of Imperial armada, and therefore chart the direction of the entire society. Because of this, rogue traders are given a substantial amount of freedom. They have a ship and a crew of specialists, and can do things that would see any normal person shot. They can barter deals and even recruit Xenos races. They can explore areas strictly prohibited, and they can earn a vast amount of wealth and riches in doing so. This tends to make rogue traders a very long lineage, and their heirs take up the mantle of their house.
Gotcha.
By being explorers, they become fabulously wealthy, and some
Generational
can
wealth.
become quite the assholes while doing so. But truly, much like a night pilot, a rogue trader is an exceptionally rich individual who can back it up. They are master swordsmen, explorers, merchants, settlers, diplomats, and everything in between. They chart a course, and they set the grounds, which means they will need someone to defend them, and the prime choice for that can be the Adeptus Arbites. Now, the Arbites are cops, Judge Dredd-style cops, as their inspiration clearly shows. Each planet will have their own members of local law enforcement, and most of them will settle many of the issues there and then. But when something requires a far more in-depth peacekeeping force, the Adeptus Arbites are brought in. Think local police versus the FBI. Arbitrators in the Arbites tend to focus heavily on stopping crime before it can become too much of a threat. A criminal gang or heretical uprising can be subdued quickly and efficiently by utilizing them and dealing with soon-to-be criminals, as they put it. They will tap into communications, create spy networks, do interrogations and sabotage, anything that helps the good of the Imperium and the law they seek to preserve. The code of the Arbites is laid out entirely via the Book of Judgment, a gigantic library of pages showing every single law from every single High Lord of Terra in the history of the Imperium. Because the Imperium is so vast, hundreds of laws are added every single day, and the library continues to grow with more and more laws and judgments. While Arbites themselves carry a small version called the Book of Law on their person, this does end up creating a system where the unjustly prosecuted will never escape their prisons. If an innocent is wrongly convicted, any form of legal counsel will need to go through the Book of Judgment to help get you out. Often these prisoners require hundreds of years of litigation, in which they will eventually expire before they can be deemed wrongly.
Wait, so they do have so they have habeas corpus in the Imperium? I kind of wasn't expecting that. So wait. So does that mean in the Imperium, since they have habeas corpus and apparently you have a right to defend yourself, do they have public defenders who like do stuff for people accused who can't afford to hire a lawyer of their own to litigate their case? Is that a thing? Do they have public defenders?
Convicted. Innocence is irrelevant. You have been judged guilty of transgressing the Lex Imperialis. Do not compound your guilt by evading punishment, as there are greater
Guilty
crimes,
until proven
so
innocent.
are there greater sentences. Of course, should something go out of the hands of the Adeptus Arbites, there is always the silent hand of the Officio Assassinorum to take their place. Naturally, the Imperium has assassins, and these assassins are sent to dispatch important figures that would not normally be handled by simply sending waves and waves of guardsmen at it. The Assassinorum is headed by the Grand Master of the Assassinorum, who is a High Lord of Terra and perhaps the shadiest individual in the
This is terrible because I'm seeing the assassin, and all I can think about is what I now know about Ian Watson's contributions because Melindy.
entire galaxy. At his disposal are multiple types of assassins that all specialize in various things. Their training is extreme and absurd. Aspirant children are often subjected to Hunger Games style combat with each other on the ride over to the temple. Then you get low gravity, high pressure, traps, horrendous
not
physical and mental strain.
Hunger
and
Games, that's
everything
Battle
in between.
Royale.
Then their minds are wiped completely and the real fun begins. An Imperial assassin is nothing to mess around with. They are some of the fastest moving and hardest hitting things the Imperium has at hand and can go toe to toe with Space Marines depending on which temple they are from.
Oh.
Some, like the Vindicares, are master snipers who lie in
So, okay, for context, yes, I know about those books. I know about Ian Watson because I was talking to my friend about some of the pros in Horus Rising, and they suddenly exclaimed Ian Watson, and I said I needed context, and I may or may not be considering reading those books for myself just to experience how wacky they get. So, yeah, I am aware of those 3 books, and that there sure are words that were written in particular sentence, like words were put in an order. Yeah, I got handed the podcast episode about the book. So there are words that are put together in an order I never would have. It helps if you think of the heresies. Okay, a super manly bodice stripper about other men. That just makes my annotation of yaoi hands, parentheses, I'm going to hell even funnier. I like the idea of the heresy as being like the closest we're getting to a drag queen cat fight though. But yes, I now have a morbid curiosity about the writing, and I may or may not be considering reading at least one of those books, or attempting to. It may end up not finished, we'll find out.
wait for weeks, days, or even months just to get the perfect headshot from 5 kilometers away and disappear. The Calidus Temple are masters of shape-shifting and take a drug that allows them to transmute their body into whatever they see fit. A confidant of a target may be killed and they will take their place before killing their target outright. Or they could shift into a member of a Chaos Warband with symbols and flesh and all that to earn the trust of a cult leader before slitting their throat. The Caluxus Assassin is a psychic blank, a soulless mutation, making them appear as uneasy to normal humans and downright disgusting to psychers. When a powerful psycher is causing issues, this is who you send. Their specialized helmet enhances their already latent powers and will allow them to all but drain the souls from those they touch and their very body. It is an extreme weapon used when a direct form of pressure must be applied to an otherwise untouchable psyker. Now, if you needed direct pressure in a more literal way, the Eversor is for you. A drugged up comatose psychopath that is directly dropped on enemy lines and allowed to wreak havoc, killing anything and everything it sees in a blaze of movement and blood before it inevitably dies and causes a plasma explosion on its demise. There are other temples as well.
I'm sorry. There's no politically correct way for me to word this. Coppers, thank you for the sub, by the way. Am I understanding this right in that he basically just described a suicide assassin thing? It's a stealth mission when everyone is dead? Yeah, okay. Oh boy, all right, okay then.
Vanis Temple acting as sort of like a cyber hacker. The Venom Temple.
Wait, the what?
But all cyber hacker. The Venom.
The venom.
temples as well. The Vanus Temple acting as sort of like a cyber hacker. The Venom Temple specializing in poisons. But all in all, assassins move with their skin-tight body gloves with a speed unmatched and force unexpected. One of the best assassin novels puts a Vindicator Calidus and Vanus to infiltrate a night world, kill the High Monarch of the Night, who is permanently stuck in his giant robot knight, install a new ruler in his stead, and make sure nobody knows the Imperium did it. Their missions are insanity, and their tasks impossible, and they do it anyway. Thus is the power the Assassinorum wields.
Damn.
We do not determine the guilty, we do not decide the punishment. We are merely the cold instrument of the Emperor's vengeance. There is no form of death unknown to us. There is no form of terror beyond our means. There is no enemy outside our reach. We are the blade that hovers over the throat of the traitor. We are the bullet that awaits the heretic's skull. We are the poison in the throat of the alien.
So basically, they are the sword of Damocles.
However, despite the prowess of the traitors, the police, and the assassins, there is one that stands above all. As the Imperium settled into its post-Emperor world, they needed a force to root out corruption wherever it could be found. But they needed specialized individuals who could do so. Men and women who would serve as detective and executioner. This new secret police would have unlimited authority, and they would be known as the Inquisition. Inquisitors of the Inquisition are one of the most feared individuals in all of the galaxy for the common members of humanity. Trained in the most difficult of conditions and mental hardening, they have long closed their minds to the compassions of those they deem guilty. Inquisitors are, for the most part, detectives, but they are detectives whose authority is unmatched and actions justified by the state itself. Similar to the KGB, the Gestapo, the Stasi, the OVRA, but
Those are some wild examples he just listed off, and they illustrate very clearly what kind of organization we're talking about here. Okay, goddamn.
unlike those organizations, the Inquisition has far more authority and is one of the only types of individuals who can commit exterminatus, the term used for the utter and total destruction of a planet that is no longer deemed usable by the Imperium. While it is a very exciting word and a commonly notable thing done in Warhammer, exterminatus is not actually used particularly often. It's a last resort entirely meant to stop the enemy from gaining a major foothold or spread even more corruption. Even with 1 million worlds, the wholesale slaughter of an entire planet is still a massive blow to the Imperium. Inquisitors range quite a bit, not just in how they operate, but also in their personalities. They are often main characters for a large amount of books.
Dude, this trucker dwarf back here, I kind of love him. I kind of love this guy here in the background.
Detective noir is a great genre, and they can be the most stone-cold killer or a pragmatic and sympathetic individual depending on who they are. Radical inquisitors may utilize methods unlike most of the Imperium, such as alien tech or even demon hosts, where Puritans stick closer to the methods of the religious state and shun any deviations. They also specialize in various aspects, as the Inquisition has orders or ordos, such as Xenos for aliens, Malleus for demons, and Hereticus for, you guessed it. Truly, if you are a normal citizen of the Imperium, a person flashing an inquisitorial rosette in front of you may be one of the most terrifying moments of your entire life. It is the same as an FBI badge or a KGB member, except now you're in Warhammer. So, their authority and tools are infinite. Agents of the Imperium are vast and offer a ton of different concepts to the world of Warhammer, and they continue to expand as the Emperor's descent into the Golden Throne has lasting effects on humanity. As time progressed, a few people seeing the Emperor as a deity made their voices louder, and over a few thousand years, worship of the Emperor was not only considered expected, but state mandated. This church will be known as the Ecclesiarchy, and there were many who would look to the cardinal position and make desperate grabs at their power, leaving horrid effects on the populace. The Age of Apostasy was a time of reformation in the Imperium that saw its eventual change into an overtly religious empire. During this time, an all-female warrior cult to the Emperor called the Daughters of the Emperor were a bit more isolated from the wider Imperium. However, As the ecclesiarchy began to take root, one Goj Vandire became the High Lord of the Administratum and noticed these warriors and felt they could be useful to him. Goj himself told these warriors that he was the voice of the Emperor himself and demanded they fire.
Okay, so hang on. We have hit another batch of ads. This time, though, I am gonna get up and take a small break. Because yeah, it's like interesting. It's an interesting direction considering. Wait. It's actually spelled like Doge. Actually, yeah. I am gonna take a pee break real quick. So I'm gonna throw up a BRB screen, and I will be back. Excuse me, shortly. Oh, that's the wrong button. Hang on, where's my button? There's my button. I'll be back. Let's see. Most Serene Doge of Venice was a title. Hang on. It's not like unfitting. Oh, interesting. Interesting that it may have been a title from back then. Which again, does interestingly enough tie back into some of the Reign of Blood. Oh, interesting. So kind of, oh shit, what was the Pope? The one who was, oh shit, what was that family? The Borgias, something like that. Anyways, yes, yeah, Borgia, yep. Okay, that was a crazy reign too. All right, ad break's over. We're gonna hop back into it. Thank you everyone once again for your patience. I don't remember what his papal name was.
Having a little hidden force field that this warrior Cole had never seen before, the bullet bounced off of him and showing him to be unharmed, truly blessed by the Emperor. This cult became known as the Brides of the Emperor and acted as his personal bodyguards and aides. However, Goj Vandire was a tyrant, and his horrendous reign spelt ruination for the wider Imperium, which made the Adeptus Custodes take notice. Despite an outright coup and revolt against him, the deadlock was getting steep as the Brides of the Emperor's fierce combat skills kept him safe. One custodian made contact with the leader of the Brides and brought her into the throne room of the Emperor himself. Nobody knows what transpired in that room, save for Alicia Dominica, the custodian, and the Emperor himself. However, she left the room with her hair bleached pure white from the interaction, marched her battle brides directly to Vandire himself and said, "You have committed the ultimate heresy. Not only have you turned your back on the Emperor and stepped from his light, you have profaned his name and almost destroyed everything he has striven to build. You have perverted and twisted the path he has laid for mankind to tread. As your decrees have stated, there can be no mercy for such a crime, no pity for such a criminal. I renounce your lordship. You walk in the darkness and cannot be allowed to live. Your sentence has been long overdue, and it is now time for you to die.
Damn.
Despite not having any time to die, Doge Van Dyer found some time to do so. With his head lopped clean from his body, the brides of the emperor were no more, and the ecclesiarchy signed a document to stop Van Dyer's reign from happening again. They would
Wait. When you say his final words were "I'm too busy to," do you are you actually serious? Those were his final words?
no longer be allowed to have men under arms.
Incredible.
Men.
Wait. Rohan. No man, a woman born could kill me. Hey, holy shit, Macbeth, and then no man could kill me. I am no man. Let's go, Eowyn Rohan. Woo! Women.
The Adeptus Sororitas, or commonly known as the Sisters of Battle, the nuns with guns, the fighting force of the church. Despite being the main militant faction, the Sisters of Battle, their organization actually is far more diverse than this and have many more nun-based roles for their members. They are organized by various orders with various specialties in mind, such as the non-militant orders like the Hospitaller, Dialogus, and Familius, including things like helping with surgical equipment and various other medical stuff, Duolingo, and a poli-sci degree. These orders are further separated into smaller orders in an almost Space Marine chapter sense, but tend to have more flexibility due to the nature of their work. And in addition to that, there is flexibility between the orders. It is not uncommon for a member of one of the more battle-hardened orders to switch to a more passive one once they've sustained battlefield injuries or are a bit closer to retirement.
Right.
As mentioned before, the Sisters of Battle are a part of their own separate organization, the Order's Militant, and feature the highest number of any given sister. They are the official fighting force of the ecclesiarchy, and they specialize in wars of faith. Unlike the deployment of Astartes and Guardsmen, the Sisters of Battle are often deployed with members of the Inquisitorial Ordo Hereticus due to the holy war nature of their battles. The Sisters of Battle are suited up with their own form of specialized power armor that gives them almost like a Joan of Arc vibe to the battle.
Oh my god, the 80s hair in this image. Hot damn. Dude, the mutton chops on this guy right here. Dude! Where are you getting a leopard print stole in this setting? What the fuck is this back here? I'm sorry, I'm getting very, oh my god, those, she does have tit skulls. All right. Damn. Like, shit. What cup size are you, skull? Okay.
Though lacking the more extreme modifications of a Space Marine's power armor, mainly to the fact that sisters are, for the most part, regular humans, the power armor of a Sister of Battle almost matches the defensive power of an Astartes, but with added flexibility and versatility in exchange for strength. Some of the patterns of armor do allow for the enhancing of genetics, but this is far from the norm.
Why is there an English rose on her thingy? Is that the Tudor? That can't be the Tudor rose. Is it the Tudor rose? Almost the Tudor rose. No, it's not that. It's no. You'll see what I mean in a second. Where are the roses? Where was it? It was English throne, Tudor. Where are the roses? Yeah, here it is. It's basically the red rose of the House of Lancaster. Yeah. It's basically that. Yeah. These are fleur-de-lis. These are straight up non-legally distinct. This one, I guess, technically is a, but this, like this, that's just straight up a fleur-de-lis. But this right here, specifically in the middle, that's just straight up an English rose. Specifically, yeah, it does. Yes. I meant the red rose of the House of Lancaster. Yeah, that's what caught my eye. I was like, British? All right.
This, combined with an arsenal of tanks and vehicles that have literal church organ rocket launchers on them.
Whoa, hang on, whoa. I'm sorry. Run that by me again, Bricky?
Vehicles that have literal church organ rocket launchers on.
Dude, wait. Does that mean you can launch a rocket salvo by playing Toccata and Fugue in D minor on a pipe organ? Oh my god, I could be a Battle Sister. Oh, I could be a Battle Sister missile launcher because I know how to play. Well, actually, I'm not very good on a pipe organ. Never mind. Maybe not.
Really brings across the holy war vibe in a gothic manner. Accompanying a sister of battle.
Also, can we just appreciate this little female symbol with a skull in it? Oh my god. I can't tell if that's a little version or not.
Fields of war is the holy trinity of weaponry. The bolter, the flamer, and the melta. With such a simple loadout, the Sisters of Battle are able to bring down the glorious flames of the Emperor himself, and his holy light shines on them in other ways during a conflict. Hell, even their jump packs evoke angelic imagery as opposed to the more clunky jetpacks ones that Space Marines have. In times of great turmoil,
Is he one-handing that hammer?
A living saint of the sororitas itself might appear on the battlefield surrounded by a litany of doves and cherubs. An almost comical scene of holy glory followed by literal hellfire. The Sisters are a fascinating organization because they take what is normally seen as a benevolent force and turn it on its head to be a horrifying method of war. Because the Sisters are so zealous, they are nigh impossible to persuade and almost never fall to chaos. In fact, any deviation from the Imperial faith may see you killed outright as you are deemed a heretic, and sometimes Sisters have even less patience than the Inquisition does. To the Adeptus Sororitas, no punishment is too extreme for blasphemy and heretical behavior. Whether it's lobotomizing traitors to use as shock troops or attaching them physically to agonizing pain engines so they can die for the Emperor, anything goes. The most fascinating part of the Sisters, however, is their faith. We discussed how orcs often make things happen through belief because of their sheer number of them. The Sisters create miracles where they walk. They are not many psychers like orcs, but they are excessively devout and make up for that. Bullets barely miss targets they absolutely should hit. Guns jam, tanks malfunction, enemies slip and fall. The scene from Pulp Fiction is an accurate portrayal of what happens when the Sisters fight.
I'd knock that shit off if I was you.
Die, you motherfucker!
Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow.
One of the most prominent figures is the Triumph of St. Catherine, a literal open casket with the saint of a sister's order held aloft by lobotomized servant cherubs and protected by bodyguards of the faithful. The devotion to the Emperor swells so strong that acts of faith are made manifest, and sometimes angels themselves. When the Sisters go to war, they have thundering organs and litanies screeching out into the battlefield.
Like, dude, like, this is so wild to me because basically their version of the Doof Warrior is someone busting out sick church hymns on an organ. Like, okay. Here's something you guys need to know about me for a bit is I actually, when I was still a practicing Catholic, there was a period in which I did play organ for my church. So it's like, yeah, not only was I raised Catholic, I played organ for the church choir for a bit. So I'm just imagining, like, you need to understand, not only am I thinking church hymns, I'm thinking like Christmas songs, because a lot of Christmas songs are actually religious and they are sung at Christmas masses. So, you know, imagine all of a sudden you hear Christmas music. Like, you just hear, "Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant." And then there's missiles. I'm never going to think of Christmas music the same way again because of this. Wow.
hymns and songs. They rabble off prayers on their lips and burn holy fire across the area. They spray holy water down from horns atop their vehicles.
They're war domain
genuine
clerics.
Holy war, a procession of death. Saint Celestine is an undying deity, arriving precisely where she is needed and returning to the fold after each death. When she dies, she sees a crying young girl atop a mountain of bones. Her bones, after every one of her deaths. She climbs this mountain every time to help comfort this crying child and is rebirthed upon the battlefield. And one day, her deaths will create a mountain so large that even she will not be able to traverse it.
What
Is she a demon of the God Emperor? Perhaps, but she'll be shot for saying so. She is genuinely and literally faith made manifest. Some sisters may make a mistake, however, and find themselves questioning their faith, disobeying a command, and even leaving their order. These sisters are sent for reconditioning and are known as the Sisters Repentia. They generally face the front of the line head on and seek retribution and forgiveness from the Emperor himself. Though their actions were heretical, repentia on the fields of battle is an indication of an individual wanting to become forgiven. They run aloft with torture devices attached to their bodies and a chain sword the size of their body, completely armorless, to determine if this is how they die or if the Emperor will forgive them.
Damn.
Even the most famous champion of the sisters, that Saint Celestine, was a repentia. Even she questioned her faith. And if she can do it, so can you. Just don't run away again. They don't really do third chances. The Sisters of Battle are martyrdom-enthused zealots that create miracles in their tread. Their devotion is boundless and also a direct source of their power. A whole army of power-armored soldiers shooting, burning, and melting all in their path is bad enough, but it enters a whole different level when God is on your side.
Damn.
By bolter shell, flamer burst, and melta blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So has it been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. The Imperium devolving into wars of faith is to push its agenda further. Where the xenophobic nature of humanity was once strong, it has now been magnified, and there are plenty of aliens in this galaxy. 6,000 years prior to the current events of 40K, a planet was found by an AdMech exploration vessel. The life forms on the planet were seen using tools, but they were still very primitive, so the planet was marked for destruction to pave the way for the Imperial war machine. However, this was thrown off because of an extreme warp storm and that whole Doge Van Dyer thing. Flash forward to modern day, and an unknown but highly advanced vessel was shot down near an Imperial mining world, and the bodies on this vessel matched those life forms found on that primitive world. The native creatures on that planet were able to evolve rapidly due to them being unobstructed, and their highly advanced gear posed a new threat to the Imperium. Advancing over these years with a remarkable speed, these are the new upstarts in the galaxy, looking to make a name for themselves, all in the name of the greater good. These are the...
Oh! Wait, Assis mentioned these guys.
The alien is not intrinsically evil. Do not hate him. Pity him his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and acquaint him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good. The early history of the Tau is chaotic at best.
Wait, why do they look like the aliens from Abe's Oddworld? Wait. Do you guys know what I'm talking about if I say that? They look like the guys from this game. Like, yeah, they totally do. Wrong tab. I have tabs, not you again. Yeah, like make the mouth vertical instead of horizontal. There we go.
Due to their extreme
Let me rewind.
only then will he accept his place in the greater good. The early history of the Tau is chaotic at best. Due to their extreme speed run to space travel, their journey to the stars were overburdened with inner conflict. It wasn't until the appearance of the Ethereals that things began to settle. These Tau to the warring tribes marked their unification under one common belief: the greater good of the Tau Va.
What about the greater good?
How can this be for the greater good?
This system is a caste-based system
Okay.
that seeks to unify and organize the Tau into an effective and successful society while working for their mutual benefit. These castes, in order from lowest to highest, are the Fire or Shas caste, which is soldiers, Earth/Theo, which is manufacturers and industrialists, the Water or Kor, being diplomats and traders, and the Air/Kor, being Navy officers. Also, you have the Ethereal/Un, which is the lords and leaders of the Tau. Now, unlike the paths of the Eldar, the Tau don't get any say into which caste they're in. It's determined upon birth due to inheritance from a parent. Trying to deviate from your caste or trying to do
So basically, it sounds like it's similar to how the caste system in India and Hinduism works, where you're just born into it and you can't really do anything about it.
castes or even use tools assigned to another caste is a grievous crime against the Ethereals, and those guilty of this crime tend to be sent to re-education camps, which sounds not so greater good, but a greater good than the good that the Imperium sees as greater. The guidance of the greater good also encourages the growth of the Empire through the absorption of other races and cultures. The expansion of the Tau Empire is split into spheres of time. So far, there have been 5 spheres of expansion, with a 6th one being planned in the current timeline. The first 2 spheres saw the Tau move beyond their homeworld and settle new planetary systems, known as Seps, and absorb multiple races into their ranks. But the 3rd sphere is where we see the Tau interact with the Imperium for the first time, which went about as well as you think it did. The Tau, as mentioned before, are highly advanced compared to some of the other species in the galaxy, and their military tactics are highly precise. Instead of the Imperial methodology of throwing everything at a problem, the Tau carefully assess any battle and take as many precautions as possible. Commonly, you will see a Tau warrior in a heavily modified battle suit with advanced targeting systems. The Tau do not often consider close combat to be something very effective, so they don't really put much stock into it. Their Gundam-like battlesuits have a multitude of functionality, ranging from overwhelming firepower to stealth-based combat. And since they're an upstart species with a bit of technical flair, they have plenty of AI drones that help them on the field of battle. In addition to this, the Tau are also joined in the field of battle by some of the species that have been absorbed into the fold of the greater good. These auxiliaries often employ tactics that the Tau are unable to do on their end, such as the brute force and almost primitive nature of the Kroot, combined with the Geonosian aerial shock attack style of the Vespens. But the Tau assimilate more and more species with time, including even some humans who wish to break off from the Imperium for...
I'm sorry. I'm trying to pay attention, but this goofy ass Games Workshop logo down here is like so bowling alley arcadey.
Very effective, so they don't really put much stock into it. Their Gundam-like battlesuits have a multitude of functionality, ranging from overwhelming firepower to stealth-based combat. And since they're
heavy arms and death
species with a bit of technical flair, they have plenty of AI drones that help them on the field of battle. In addition to this, the Tau are also joined in the field of battle by some of the species that have been absorbed into the fold of the greater good. These auxiliaries often employ tactics that the Tau are unable to do on their end, such as the brute force and almost primitive nature of the Kroot, combined with the Geonosian aerial shock attack style of the Vespens. But the Tau assimilate more and more species with time, including even some humans who wish to break off from the Imperium for pick a reason. The aesthetic of the Tau also leans a bit more into the East Asian sci-fi aesthetics. The large mech suits definitely evoke that Gundam look, but the general garb of their higher-ups kind of create that motif, and they often have accents in the games that they are in. But while Tau are looked at as Gundam mech faction by some, others enjoy them for the full coalition of aliens. One of my favorite images in Warhammer is this official artwork by Games Workshop.
Damn.
Now, not a single one of these aliens are a faction in Warhammer, and yet they all are different species that do exist in this universe. The Milky Way galaxy is vast, and while the Imperium and many others exterminate what they can find, the Tau will assimilate those that can be assimilated. The crew investments we already discussed, and the humans and also Votan will join them at times. But you also have the Galg, the Nikasar, the Vorg, the Thraxian, the Terrellian, Greet, Domati, and many others.
I'm not sure those are all real words, but whatever you say, Bricky.
Some of these are just one-off lines, and some are major players in the civilization. The Nikasar are, for lack of a better word, gigantic psychic polar bears with bird-like faces. The Tau have...
Oh, what? Okay. Alrighty.
psychic bears. And the fact I haven't seen this is a crime. The Tau as a culture are generally marred by the various issues that an advanced civilization would have in an unadvanced galaxy. They do not travel through the warp because of the insane dangers, but instead use a more classic FTL jump. However, because they aren't going through hell, it makes them a lot slower than many other races. The Imperium might surf through hell and lose a few ships, but they will get there first. Often they will take enormous cannons and weaponry and defeat their foes before they can even close the gap. One of their light walkers carried a weapon of lethal effect. It fired a form of ultra-high velocity projectile. I saw one of our tanks after being hit by it. There was a small hole punched in either flank. One, the projectile's entry point, the other its exit. The tiny munition had passed through the vehicle with such speed that everything within the hole not welded down had been sucked out through the exit hole, including the crew. We never identified their bodies, for all that remained of them was a red stain upon the ground, extending some 20 meters from the wreck. The fascination of the Tau is that in any other modern day world, their society would be horrid. Rigid caste systems, corruption, and politic ethereals, and basically it's the greater good or nothing at all. But in the world of Warhammer, the simple fact that humans are accepted into their sphere should they please already puts them far and above the other races that would murder or eat them. But despite this, the existential dread that is the Tau Empire is ever so apparent. Despite being hyper-advanced and welcoming a coalition of aliens, they are the upstarts, and they are painfully outnumbered on all sides. Almost any other faction in the universe, given the right amount of force, can wipe out the Tau Empire from existence. They themselves might not be perfect, but their slight glimmer of hope is exactly that, a glimmer in a dark and crushing galaxy. Of course, nobody dares take the attempt to destroy the Tau Empire, because doing so is an enormous amount of resources, and for the same reason why you don't full send your whole army to one person in a commander game of Magic. You open yourself up to player 2 and 3. But not to say it won't be a struggle. The Tau Empire, when prepared, are a vicious fighting force who might delete your formation before you even see them. But they lack numbers, and in the dark corners of the galaxy, something is coming that is entirely numbers.
So that's the interesting thing about the Tau. It's just one massive crusade away from being put on a shirt. Like, the thing that's interesting about the Tau to me is that it feels like an attempt by Games Workshop to have like an unquestionably good faction that isn't obviously like evil or, you know, blatantly like messed up front. But even then, even being like the closest thing you have to like a quote unquote good faction or like a lawful, okay, technically other factions would be lawful good, like the Battle Sisters would definitely be quote unquote lawful good, right? But like when you actually look closely at them, even though ostensibly on the surface they seem like good guys, there's still quite a lot wrong with them at the same way. So it's like they're the most good on the surface compared to the others. Yeah, they're the most straightforward and like not as like upfront evil, but they still have their facets, which is interesting. Are these the little Zerg guys?
There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale, and all we can try to do is stop the swarms of bioengineer monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salve our fears. We call it the Tyrannid race. But if it is aware of us at all, it must only know us as prey.
Damn.
The conflicts of Warhammer 40K are chaotic enough with the sheer volume of violence that exists in the confines of the Milky Way. However, there is a threat to the galaxy that extends beyond our known galaxy.
These are the guys that came in the starter kit I got. So when I was talking about doing a miniature painting stream in the future, I found a little starter kit that comes with some paints and a couple of little Space Marine guys, and then these guys. All right, these are the other guys in the kit.
Is creeping ever closer and cannot be negotiated with. What drew them to the galaxy is unclear. It may have been the light of the Astronomicon itself, like a moth to a flame. It could have been a Xenos device detonated in the Horus Heresy. It could have been that they were done eating the Andromeda galaxy and they have come to take ours, or they might be running from something far, far worse. Regardless of the why, the where, when it came to the first official contact with these creatures, was the planet of Tyran. This is the site where the Imperium encountered a fleet of these creatures before being utterly torn to shreds. Thus, these creatures became known as the Tyranids.
Makes sense.
There's plenty of evidence that the Tyranids have been lurking in our galaxy for years beforehand, but this was the first true instance of their presence being fully known. Unlike other creatures in the realm of 40K that can be talked to, captured, or negotiated with, the Tyranids are unable to be reasoned with. They are, at their core, animals.
Okay.
Well, not the fun kind of animals. They are the xenomorphs of 40K, and boy are they hungry. They are instinctively hardwired to either kill or be killed, and they are an unrelenting force due to this. However, just because they don't talk outwardly doesn't mean they don't communicate with one another. The true horror of the Tyranids is found in their driving force, the hive mind.
They are Zerg.
Hot in here by Nelly.
That's what I guessed. What?
You see, the Tyranids are a collective consciousness that are all connected to a singular embodiment of psychic power that is utterly incomprehensible to the human mind. To keep this connection there, the Tyranids on the field of battle are followed around by synapse creatures, essentially serving as their Bluetooth connection to the greater hive mind. This allows them to send and receive information about the battle they're in, and it also allows them to adapt to certain situations based off of the information gained. Depending on the enemy, the swarm might be able to develop a new weapon or new tactics so they can get the upper hand. When the synapse connection is cut, they are unable to essentially form a save state and are stranded. The sheer power of the hive mind presence pours from each Tyranid in such a manner that it causes a distortion in the warp itself. A hive fleet's arrival can cause a dark shadow the size of several light years, coined the shadow in the warp. This shadow prevents any usage of the warp, or at least makes it exceptionally difficult. Communications shut down due to astropaths being unable to talk. Ships cannot freely enter the warp, and even creatures.
Wait, so what you're saying is that the Tyranids can DDoS the warp? You can DDoS hell in Warhammer? Is that what he's saying? Okay, sure.
The warp sensitivity feel an immense dread due to it. It causes everything to just kind of sit dead, like at a buffet counter waiting for the afternoon meal rush. The Tyranids meander through the galaxy in these gigantic hive fleets that are fueled by bioships, and these ships contain birthing pools for Tyranid armies and more ships. Everything about the Tyranids is organic, and to fuel this war machine, the Tyranids consume any and all biomass they come across and absorb it into their respective hive. From the ground to literally the air, the Tyranids strip a planet to a lifeless and
This guy is like, oh, that kind of hurts.
uninhabitable hulk. As a means to curb the advancement of the Tyranids, the Imperium has been known to preemptively exterminatus worlds in the path of a hive fleet so that they have less biomass to consume in an attempt to starve them. The Halo method, literally scorched earth tactics by taking everything out of the freezer and lighting it on fire. Outside of the obvious threat and adaptive and unreasonable enemy posed on the field of battle, the most dangerous aspect of the Tyranids comes in the form of their general unpredictability. The Tyranids are external to the Milky Way galaxy itself, and it's unknown where they truly hail from. However, their arrival in the Milky Way is seemingly random and in 3D space, implying quite heavily that Tyranids have the galaxy surrounded in some kind of way. Due to this, you will sometimes see instances of species engaged in a separate conflict, both agree to a temporary truce in order to take out a Tyranid threat. Because regardless of the stakes at hand, the existence of the Tyranids marks the heat death of the galaxy itself, and all the factions can ultimately agree that Tyranids themselves act as the biggest threat to all of them. The Tyranid race is truly an unknowable horde and pulls from that horror of the unknown. They, as a faction, are not ones with a large amount of general lore because their entire race is told from the point of view of those being eaten by them. Tyranids are called that due to the planet Tyran they destroyed, as we mentioned earlier, and their names are often phrases given to them by their victims: the Swarm Lord, Old One-Eye, the Death Leaper, Von Ryan's Leapers, and so on. Despite the inability to even perceive the vast psychic hive mind of the Tyranids, they are fiercely intelligent. Special poisons and items designed to counter them are adapted in a matter of hours. If you bring light infantry, they create heavy monsters. If you brought weapon emplacements, they spawn little creatures to scour your vents and sewers. Many of you enjoyed the Servitor excerpt from part 1, and so bear with me as I provide you another very long account of a planetary governor whose planet is in the final death throes of the Tyranid menace. This starts about halfway through. It has been many weeks since a handful of us escaped the sinking of the Seafort Divine Anchor via airlift. We have escaped in this manner because the Tyranids had overwhelmed so much of our world, they no longer appeared to need to continue spawning beasts for aerial supremacy. I shall never forget what I saw from my craft's portholes. Alien biostructures dominated Huto's surface. Gigantic, lumpen barnacles pumped out clouds of matter to further poison the planet alongside pulsating, brain-like nodes that resembled lethal fungi. Immense capillary towers stretched high into the poisoned sky. The glistening chitin coating their flanks crawled over by chains of lesser beasts fulfilling some sick alien purpose I cannot know. Digestion pools spread for miles, replacing our once great lakes with reservoirs of bubbling biomatter. Tides of creatures bloated with consumed flesh vomited their guts into the pools or threw themselves entirely into the billowous liquid. Amidst the seas of feeder beasts consuming all in their path, we would every so often see an explosion or a burst of fire. Were these heroic final stands by other survivors, or merely abandoned ordnance detonating at random? I will never know. I cannot rejoice in the deaths they inflicted. The biomatter of the dead Xenos was surely recycled by the Xenos regardless in no time at all. Our aircraft ran out of fuel a week ago. Now I stand in the snow, not far from the peak of Mont Saint Hila. I am the only one left that I know. One by one, those with me perished. The slightest cut on a mountain rock resulted in an immediate infection that left the pilot screaming in agony. Her co-pilot fired the shot that ended her torture, and my senior aide threw himself from a ledge, the reality that there was no escape hitting him. I have no idea what happened to my chief medicae. Others were slain by lone beasts the rest of us were unable to kill or drive away. A justly deserved end will soon be mine. I have failed on every possible level. We were not even able to send word. An alien disease has me within its grasp. My limbs are numb, my tongue is dry as sand, my head throbs. Even at these chilled heights, I sweat profusely. From here where I sit, I can see the final death unfold on the planet entrusted to me. Before me is the Radarin Ocean. The water level is visibly dropping, hour by hour. They are even taking our seas. There are enormous beasts with great, slowly flapping wings and immense open maws moving through the sky. I may be at high altitude, but the air is thinner here than it should be. I know enough of mountaineering to know that. They will not even leave our air. There is an isthmus I can see, upon which is sat
Okay, props to the author for using the word isthmus.
one of the Xenos capillary towers. Now I believe I can tell what they are truly for. High up, foul Xenos bioships cling to their flanks like twisted calves at their mother's udders.
Ew.
They are feasting, I am sure, hungrily filling themselves to burst on the hideous gruels that are what remains of my people. I have witnessed the planet's death from sinister start to hideous conclusion. I see the
don't describe
power
it
of
like
our
that.
foe, and though I have shown boundless weakness these past months, I do not see how we could ever have won. If this is any sort of good news, it seems that one thing that might be an inadvertent repellent effect on the Tyranids is chaos. Chaos and chaotic energies offer no nourishment to the Tyranids. They cannot eat that. And the presence of rifts and warp storms work as a means to starve out the Tyranid fleet. The Tyranids, of course, are attempting to adapt to this, but it seems that even at the most primal core of the galaxy itself, Chaos agrees that these dinner guests are not welcome in any way, shape, or bioform. In the end, though, the Tyranids represent the final fears of the galaxy itself. Despite the goals to conquer the galaxy as a whole, the remainder of the universe may very well be dead and derelict space. Instead of endless worlds and solar systems, it may just be bones and ash. The tendrils of the hive mind have wrapped themselves around the galaxy, and the only thing that's guaranteed is that dinner is served. However, the Tyranids are not simply the unending hordes of bugs. Beyond the more general buffet tactics of the force of the Tyranids, the hive mind has a more secretive and dangerous means of planetary conquest in the form of something a bit more terrestrial. General upheaval and revolution. However, though the idea of a societal revolt for the good of the populace is an admirable thing, these leaders have the nefarious intent of the hive mind itself. These are the downtrodden and the oppressed, the revolutionaries to a better cause, the heralds of the Star Children. These are the...
Oh, okay. All right.
In the sunless body of our hive, the flock of the faithful grows. We are guided...
I thought he said the fuck. Oh my god. Okay, wow, that's not what he said. That's not what he's reading. Okay. All right. Let's start the section again.
In the sunless body of our hive, the flock of the faithful grows.
Okay, there wasn't
We
all
are
that.
guided by our great Father's sacred vision, protected by his loving hands. Within these holy shadows we dwell, while the impure bathe in spire-topped starlight. And what lies between those stars? What sails beyond those distant suns? Shrouded in night, born within that eternal black, our redeemers, our gods, truer than the silent, long-dead emperor, the children of the void. We hear them in our dreams, we feel them in our blood. They call and we will answer. We will rise and claim the engines of labor that have bound us in servitude. This world will burn. It will be cleansed, purified, made ready, and the heavens will deliver our reward.
Okay, it's an apocalypse cult. Got it.
The ground zero of a gene stealer cult comes in the form of the gene stealer itself. Deep in the depths of a planet, a gene stealer acts as almost an advanced recon unit for the Tyranids, and were the first Tyranid units encountered by the Imperium itself long before the first Hive fleet made its presence known. Unlike the Tyranids that can only reproduce through the birthing pools in the fleet, a gene stealer reproduces via the big smooch. The gene stealer kiss is essentially what the facehugger alien does. It attaches to a victim and releases an embryo. However, instead of a chest burster, the embryo alters the genetic makeup of the host itself, turning it into the primary conductor of a localized version of the hive mind known as the brood mind. Any offspring that this host produces is known as a gene stealer.
Okay. So it's basically like a parasite infestation. Like how you have those snail worms that go into the antenna and they're like controlling the snail and they look like really like like a psychic acid trip, but it's actually a horrifying parasite. And like how some ants, they get spores and then the spores basically turn them into zombies being commandeered to transport them so that they can die and release more spores. Okay then.
Hybrid, and the host assures their survival to continue to reproduce. The first few generations of a gene stealer hybrid look more like the gene stealer itself, which in our current reality would be terrifying. But considering how the vast majority of humanity is a little mutated in 40K, it doesn't stand out as much as it should. As the generations continue, the mutations and the general alien look is almost entirely phased out, and the resulting hybrids look almost identical to the species that they once were. Due to the size of most worlds, the makings of a gene stealer cult can exist almost entirely in secret, generation after generation. After a certain period of time, those hybrids will make their way into generalized society. Still connected to the mind of the gene stealer itself, the hybrids operate with the express goal of gaining power within society itself in a political and religious sense. Most of the time, they will present themselves as revolutionaries, looking for the betterment of the population. And honestly, it sounds great for a lot of the folks on the planet.
That is
By
insidious.
the people, for the people. As they expand more openly, the crossbreeding continues until all aspects of the planet's society is infiltrated. However, all bets are off when a hive fleet comes close enough. When a Tyranid hive fleet gets close enough to a planet, the broodmine activates essentially an endgame scenario. The once political and religious leaders become bloodthirsty fanatics that work to finalize the collapse of society and the death of those who oppose them. But to those in the broodmine, the god they believe in is coming, and this is holy justice and vindication for their religious and political beliefs. As the hive arrives, the planet is essentially ripe for the taking. The original gene stealer pieces out to the next world or is reabsorbed for deployment elsewhere, and the Tyranids begin to take the planet for themselves.
Yikes.
The cultists sing praises and holy songs as the Tyranids begin to eat everything up in kind of a meet the pyro sense of religious delusion. But as they are harvested, some of them are snapped back to reality
this is why
with
he's using the
gravity
pyro.
before they are thrown into the biomass soup. For a fleeting second, they see that this was all a ruse to consume the world and that their false gods were a bunch of hungry bugs. The cultists essentially put the checkerboard dining cloth on the table for them and invited them for a feast. Due to the constant redeployment of gene stealers, there are known cults that pop up across the Imperium itself. Some of the more well-known ones are the cult of the Bladed Cog or the Rusted Claw, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different cults that keep popping up all over the galaxy as the gene stealers spread. And due to their covert means taking over the planet, they are not generally viewed to be a threat until it is far too late. And due to the know-how of gene stealers, they tend to be predatory to those in the lower classes of a given planet. The gene stealer cults overall have really come into their own, commercially and artistically. They have very much embraced the revolutionaries aesthetic and crafted a fascinating method in doing so. It's this great combination of this pseudo-Marxist Bolshevik uprising mixed with the hills have eyes in the populace. What's particularly enjoyable about their uprising is that often from their point of view, the reasons they have are extremely justified. Most of the members of the GSC are the extremely impoverished and menial laborers of the Imperium, who honestly wouldn't need an alien presence to provide a manifesto on
Wait, the bugs keep telling me to short the Bible, but I don't fucking know what either of those things mean.
reasons to revolt. Their weapons are all makeshift and often involve things like mining lasers, drilling saws, demolition charges, giant stop signs. Their political machinations work quite well, as the cult ends up being really good at assassination, especially when you have a third arm holding a pistol beneath all those robes. They're a faction rife with fascination and culture, and their plan beneath all those robes. They're a
Hang on, what was that? I need to read
especially when
it.
you have a third arm holding a pistol beneath all
Is that a third arm holding a pistol, or is he just happy to see me?
all those robes. They're a faction rife with fascination and culture, and their plans are generations in the making, to the end goal of being thrown right back into the soup by the star children they prepared the world for. And those are the threats to the galaxy now. The degradation of almost every species has now
Wait, what do you mean? Is that a third arm holding a pistol, or are you just happy to see me as a book spoiler? What? There's no way.
By the Tyranid menace, and all of the infighting
It's too
between
much of a
each
shit
and
post to
every
be a
single one of
spoiler.
them will be their undoing. The world of Warhammer is a bleak and horrendous one, and that is in its own right the charm. It is so large, so vast, so absolutely horrendous and insane, and yet is treated with 100% severity and seriousness. In the beginning of part 1, I gave you an abridged and different opening to the Warhammer world, the grim darkness of the far future, and I leave you with this part 2 with the full quote itself.
Okay.
It is the 41st millennia. For more than 100 centuries, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. Yet even in his deathless state, the Emperor continues his eternal vigilance. Mighty battle fleets across the demon-infested miasma of the warp, the only route between distant stars, their way lit by the Astronomicon, the psychic manifestation of the Emperor's will. Vast armies give battle in his name on uncounted worlds. Greatest amongst his soldiers are the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines, bioengineered super warriors. Their comrades in arms are Legion, the Imperial Guard, and countless planetary defense forces, the ever-vigilant Inquisition, and the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus, to name only a few. But for all their multitudes, they are barely enough to hold off the ever-present threat from aliens, heretics, mutants, and worse. To be a man in such times is to be one amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter and the laughter
He's
of
so
thirsty
tiny
gods. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Well, damn, Bricky. Shit. Damn. All right, hang on. So, there should be music back now. There is not music back. Hold up. Let me get some music going real quick for everyone. Come here, buddy. Damn. First of all, I think I'm going to need some time to organize my thoughts. I think there's a Space Marine video that explains all the Space Marine factions that I'll probably want to watch and react to at some point as well. So we might do that. Yeah, I'll probably watch that at some point in the future. So for those who weren't here at the start of stream, I did mention that because I'm not originally a Warhammer person and I'm very much still getting into it, I do want to avoid doing too much Warhammer content right away. Just because I don't want to accidentally pigeonhole myself and then end up, in a situation where I'm like, oh, I am not vibing with this at all for what I want to do. So I don't know if I'll be reacting to another Warhammer video or more Warhammer lore at some point this month. Yeah, exactly. It's probably one of those things that I'll revisit every now and then because it is interesting. I think one of the smartest things the writers did actually was they have an interesting mix of fact and unreliable narrators that basically give them a lot of wiggle room to mess with the narrative, which I think is really neat. And the other thing too is I don't know if I'll play the games because one, I'm terrible at RTS. I just don't understand RTS at all somehow. And so from what I've seen, a lot of them in RTS. And the other thing too is that a lot of them are quite graphic. Like I've had peripheral awareness of Warhammer for a while, but one of the reasons why I never really looked into it more is because I generally don't handle egregious amounts of gore very well, and a lot of the stuff I've seen does have quite a bit of like visceral aspects to it. So I don't know if I'll be able to play the games. Who knows? I'll probably keep reading the novels, discussing my reactions to the novels here and there. This month, I do want to try some miniature painting, just because, you know, the hobby is like a cousin hobby to building Gunpla. So you can rogue trade and romance the really bad boy. So who knows? So depending on how the miniature painting goes, that might be something I also do every now and then. Like, not to build an army, because I don't think I can afford to play the tabletop on top of building Gunpla. I don't think my wallet could handle that. Oh, thank you. But I think it could be interesting to just kind of throw them up every now and then. I'm really curious to see like what painting techniques from Warhammer I could apply to Gunpla and what Gunpla techniques I could apply to Warhammer. I have a lot of curiosity about the miniatures and what it's like to paint them. Faction-wise, if all of the factions we've gone over, I don't know if I could handle one of those big set pieces. Custom build a mobile. That's not a bad idea for a paint job, actually. Doing a custom paint job in a Space Marine color scheme instead. That could be interesting, actually. I did. Who was it that sent me that quiz? Someone sent me a quiz about which Space Marine faction I would. Yeah, John sent it to me. A quiz on what Space Marine faction, but it was all loyalist factions, and I got highest ranked for Blood Angels and Salamanders, if that means anything to anybody. My understanding of the Blood Angels is we are the Blood Angels. You killed our Primarch / Gene Father, prepare to die. Very Inigo Montoya. And my understanding of the Salamanders is that they are the most likely to run a what's it called? Toys for Tots campaign, which is for those who don't know, it is a toy drive campaign that the Marines run around Christmas time to give toys to kids. Yeah, so that's my understanding of the Salamanders. They are the most likely to run a Toys for Tots campaign. I like civilians, noted. Yeah. So we shall see. I'm still gonna keep reading Horus Rising. I'll probably try to finish those 4 books. What else is there? Out of the factions, I think Rogue's Hobbies channel. Oh, that could be interesting to check out. Faction-wise, the ones that stood out to me as ones I liked from the video so far. Definitely the White Scar still, because I just really like the idea of space Mongols on motorcycles. That's just a fun idea. Orcs, very endearing, hard to not love them. Absolutely fantastic. And then, like, visually, the Adeptus Sororitas are, like, really cool with the Joan of Arc aesthetic. But I don't know how I feel about the Battle Sisters yet, because zealotry is, like, a dangerous thing. And when you get blinded by religious devotion, that can end very badly. Weirdly enough, like, you would think I would go for the Tau because they have the Gundams. But, like, what their society is about somehow is just like... Yeah, it's like... I appreciate their aesthetics and the fact that their rocket launchers are pipe organs. Like, that's baller. You could just... Like, that's just great. Pipe, like, being able to play a pipe organ is actually, like, quite a... I am absolutely not a Drukhari enjoyer. They're Cenobites. I don't vibe with that at all. Yeah, well, like, that's true. That's true. Like, aesthetically, I do enjoy the battle system. They do have a very nice aesthetic. That's a good point, that just being a fan of a faction doesn't mean you co-sign their ethics. That is true, especially in a setting like Warhammer where every faction has its faults. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, the orc lore, I was not expecting fungal colonies cancer with guns, and if enough of them believe it, it happens. That was like, they truly are just fuck it, we ball. Wait, are the orcs the one? Are they the ones who that one orc meme is about, where it's like an orc saying that he doesn't have the media literacy to understand James Joyce's Ulysses, even though Ulysses is like one of the hardest books to like actually read and study up on? I feel like I've seen that meme. Is that a Warhammer meme? Or James Joyce? Like, it's a big old, oh, it's a D&D meme. Okay. Oh, everyone call ogres stupid and it true. Ogre barely, yeah, that is an ogre, huh? Yeah, that's a shame. Generic fantasy. It's such a good meme too, because the way it's like, ogre finally finished reading Ulysses, but ogre only can identify surface level themes like religion and nationalism and can't comprehend deeper ideas like the remorse of conscience that make James Joyce's novel a modernist classic. Ogre's so dumb, it makes ogre sad, and this straight ogre will never understand Finnegan's Wake. Never mind that James Joyce is like notoriously difficult to understand for most people. Very, very good. But yeah, let's see. Maybe Britannia, maybe. We'll see. Because I do kind of enjoy, like, it's interesting, right? Because there's parts of Warhammer that, again, are so ridiculous, they do loop back to actually being rad as shit. But there's also something interesting and inherently fascinating about a world setting where there is no unquestionable good guy. Like, there is no clear-cut, clear-defined good faction. There are some factions that are, like, very much worse than the other depending on your personal ethics, but you know, it's interesting that, like, I've never really engaged much with grimdark before, so it's, you know, interesting to finally be exploring a grimdark setting and engaging with it. Yeah, so it's kind of like, maybe I'll see how I feel after finishing the first Horus Rising novel, now that I have the flowchart handy. And we'll see. We'll see about that. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting directions it can go, right? With Warhammer, and that's kind of the nice thing about, because like sometimes a large franchise can feel really overwhelming, but what am I trying to say here? Like, there's some things that they're so large it can feel overwhelming to try and get into it, but there's something about Warhammer that doesn't feel overwhelming. Like, it's insane. Like, is it insane to find out there's 64 novels all about the Horus Heresy? Yes. But as you guys all like pointed out immediately, they're not all required reading. There's maybe a small number of like core novels, and then the rest are pretty much there for flavor. And I think knowing that up front helps a lot. No, that might be a good way to say it, Odie, is that you can engage with sections of the hobby and it makes it much more manageable. I think that's a good way to word it. Yeah, it's you're not going all in all at once. You can engage with segments of it, and there's like if you're not into the tabletop aspect, you don't have to engage with the tabletop aspect. If you're not into the reading aspect, you don't have to engage with the reading aspect, but you are still acknowledged as engaging with Warhammer. And I think that's really interesting. Yeah. It's been a very interesting dive in learning about it. So thank you everyone for coming by, indulging me, hearing me out. It's been a lot of fun learning about these factions, and I'm gonna let things stew in my head for a bit. Chanting iron with an iron without. I'm sure I'll know what that means someday, for better or worse. But yes, it was way more enjoyable than I thought it would be. Yeah, I do need to, because what I ended up doing was that I let it digest, and then I actually, what's the next thing I'm planning steering theory on? Not sure. I'm not sure yet. This Friday at the very least, I am going to be trying to finally finish up a Gunpla build. And then I need to figure out what I'm gonna do next, because one of my goals this year is, even though it's terrible for growth, is to just indulge in more games that I know I'm going to enjoy. So something like Road to Empress, which is like a playable Chinese drama. Thank you for, oh yeah, that's right. Thank you everyone for all the follows and stuff. I couldn't keep up with everything happening tonight, and I tried at first, and then it was just like, oh, there's quite a few happening. Thank you for that. Thank you for the support. Yeah, like I saw some footage of it, and I was like, this is fascinating. I want to play it. So Road to Empress will probably happen. There's a game Hoya sent me called Agree, with a lot of ease, I think, that I might check out as well. Apparently it's a quirky little game. I guess we'll find out what's in there. So there's a couple small games. Yeah, Suhoshin. But one thing I do want to do is, like, sometimes I do get caught up in like, oh, I'm not playing a trending game, or I'll play this because I think it'll get views. And it's like, no, I'm just going to unapologetically play what I want to. Algorithm be damned. That's the goal. And I think I might also, I guess we're talking a little bit about 2026 goals. I do also want to try to do more co-working type streams, just because I want it to like be a place where people can come do like hobbies. Like my streams can become times. Yeah, like one thing I really want to pursue is like my hobby streams. I want those to be spaces or times where if people are looking, like trying to figure out when am I going to have time to like work on XYZ hobby, then maybe these streams can be a chance for them to set some time aside or finally get around to doing something. So stuff like drawing practice or calligraphy practice, or, you know, just working on hobbies and detailing stuff. Yeah, like, and it's nice because I also have very severe ADHD, so it also helps me a lot too to like have something like that. Speaking of ADHD, oh my god, I think I need to go to a neuropsychologist, because I realized today I really enjoy going through car washes. Like, I don't know why, I just find it fun and calming, and I enjoy going through car washes, and I'm just like, yeah, I think I need to get reassessed at the doctor's office. There's been a lot of signs piling up. I don't think I can ignore these anymore. Oh, so White Reflection cover progress, by the way. It is still moving along. Yeah, I finally sent it off for mixing. And then after that, it will just be a matter of getting an MV made. Yay! So, yeah, and then, oh, that's right. Hang on, I can share this with you guys. Do I have it saved? Is it saved? Real quick, before you go. Technically, I shared this in the sneak peek channel, but, where is it? Oh shit, I didn't save it. Never mind. All right, never mind. I lied. I didn't save it. I don't have it handy. Maybe next time then. Maybe next time I'll share it instead. For now, it's still a sneak peek bonus. Let's see. But yeah, I think that's about it for everything to go over. Streams, oh, right. So, elephant in the room. It's in the room for me. It's not in the room for you guys. You guys are not in the room with the elephant. I had mentioned this to some folks in the community ahead of time. Where are the stream avatars? Why are they off? There you guys are. I had mentioned this ahead of time last year to folks who have already been Fumbies, to the Fumbies who were here before. I have multiple coworkers on maternity leave at the moment, so things are a little crazy at my job. I do work full time, so there may be weeks where I'm only streaming once a week, and I'll probably be prioritizing hobby streams on those weeks. So I'm gonna do my best and not have weeks where that happens, but my workload did explode a bit this week after coming back from the winter break. And I gotta stay afloat, or try to stay on top of that. Yeah, exactly. So it's only, hopefully once I get past this initial like post-holiday surge, it'll calm down and it won't be an issue anymore. Because I think one of them comes back this month. But yeah, it's just like one of those crazy circumstances where it's like, oh, we have 2 people out on maternity leave at the same time. We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. But the priority will be on hobby streams if I have to cut down to 1 day a week. And depending on how much more the tasking keeps piling up, there may be a couple weeks where I just have no streams, but I am going to do my best to avoid that. I'm trying to work on my consistency this year. And yeah, other than that, again, I'm always so appreciative of how understanding you guys are, and the patience you show me with my health and everything else. The algorithm hates it, but I don't care. I'm learning no, it's not that I don't care, but I'm learning not to care what the algorithm thinks. Because what matters is what, to an extent, not fully, but it matters more what you guys think at the end of the day. So I'm very grateful that you guys have always been very understanding about my health and whatnot. All right, so that's it. It is late. I do have capitalism tomorrow, so we should work on that. Oh yeah, another downside question mark / upside question mark to wanting to be more selfish about games I stream. More Uma Musume streams. Horse. But yeah, thank you everyone again for all the patience, for answering my questions, for the follows and the subs. I hope I'll still see some of you guys around, even outside of the Warhammer content. The horse, they're saying no, get out of here with that. And I'll see you guys Friday, hopefully. So let me get us queued up. I'm gonna send us over, for those on Twitch, we are going to go ahead and hit a raid. Let me get the raid message out. I'm gonna send us over to Vampy Bit Me, because I believe she's building a model kit right now. Let me check that real quick. What is she building? What are you building, Vampy? Why are you taking so long to load? I did, yeah, it should have been reposted. Oh, she's building a transformer. That's fine. All right. Oh God, why is my computer wagging all of a sudden? Computer, please. But yeah, I'll see you guys around. Oh wait, hang on. Sango, never mind. We're going to Sango. Sango's streaming. We have to go to Sango. We gotta support our guy. Anyways, I'll stop yapping. I need to go to bed. Oh wait, I need to queue up the raid first. I remember how to stream. Get out of here, ad break. We're leaving. Bye. All right, I'll see you guys later.